ready to rock?
I think we're ready to. I think we're ready to be rocking with some Dokken.
Hey, I
Hey,
mean, it had to happen at some point. Somebody had to say it.
hey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cranked and Ranked, the podcast slash YouTube show where we rank band discographies and other stuff as well sometimes. But we're back with another band ranking. And I like that we kind of went on the other end of the spectrum because last time we did Sleep Token, which is a modern metal band, and now we're doing Dokken, which is a very well. I mean, there's music ranging from the early '80s all the way to 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
But they still remain in my head an '80s rock band,
very much. Yeah.
hard rock, emphasis on the hard for a lot of it. But yeah, we're doing Dokken, which it's an interesting. This is interesting because I love so much music from the era that Dokken comes out of, but Dokken has never been a band that I got into. And doing this ranking has answered some questions for me, but yeah, so they're just a band that was like around, and the only way the way that I was introduced to them. Look, I brought my entire Dokken vinyl collection with me, which is just this
Wow.
Dokken Dream Warriors.
Cool.
12-inch maxi single. It also has the song "Back for the Attack," which when this came out, it says previously unreleased because at this point the album had not come out yet.
And also, the title track "Back for the Attack" is not on the "Back for the Attack" album.
But the album also had not
Yeah.
come out. Well, at least according to this, it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
But and look at the back. You see the picture on the back that's got Freddie with the dudes.
Hell yeah. I also like that they list the other releases at the bottom
Yeah,
as well.
and they have stuff about the Freddie fan club. If you want to join the Freddie fan club, which who doesn't really? But this was my introduction to them because I was and am still a massive fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, especially like the first six for me. Forget about it. They're even with all of their silly flaws, they're fucking perfect movies for me. But the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie was actually the first one I ever saw because that was 88, 87. This says 87, so I think that movie came out in 87, and it was the first one of that franchise, I guess you call them now. You never said the word franchise back in the day. You said that when you were talking about like McDonald's.
Yeah.
But and so that was my introduction. Man, I'm tripping all over my words today. I apologize for everyone out there. Normally, I sound a little bit better than this, but that was my introduction, and it literally didn't go any further than that. Like I heard other songs around the time from Dokken, but that was not. Even though I loved the song Dream Warrior so much.
Yeah.
It did not cause me to go and buy any Dokken records. And that's pretty much where it ended for me right there.
It's funny when that happens, isn't it? Because like, there's been a few times in the past where like I'm drawing a blank right now, but I can think of several times in my life I've thought, this song's fucking amazing. Where has it been all my life? This is my favorite song right now. Am I going to listen to the album? Nope. What? Like what? What happened? Like it's weird. I'm weird like that, I guess. Sometimes I get hyper fixated on a song and don't do the deep dive, and then like years later we do an episode on it and I kick myself for it because I've deprived myself of about 5 years of enjoyment.
You know what? If I can manage to do something like that these days, I like to do it because the opposite is what's normally true for me, which is, ooh, I like this song. Who's this band? I'm going to buy this album. I'm going to buy all their albums. I'm going to buy all the singles. and then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I broke?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's literally that's my experience with Dokken is that song, and then In My Dreams was pretty prominent on like Headbangers Ball and stuff. But yeah, literally nothing brought me around to this band, and I even like knew some George Lynch stuff because I was I had the first album that I think the band was called KXM, which George Lynch did with Doug Pinnick from King's X and fuck, I hate that I'm spacing on his name. The current drummer of Korn.
Bear with Ray Luzier.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah, they have a band. They did one or two albums, I think, that trio of dudes. So I very much know George Lynch, and I remember him watching Headbangers Ball and him being in the unfortunately named band Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
But, that's neither here nor there. But that's pretty much it. The actual Dokken thing. This is like, I when I got older, I listened to the albums. I think I heard Back for the Attack. The only ones prior to this I'd heard are Back for the Attack and Under Lock and Key. I think those are the two that in the past at some point I had listened to, but they just didn't do a lot for me. So that's it. So for you, I think Dokken is on a GTA game. So
Yep. But again, it's one of those things. So Breaking the Chains is on V-Rock in Vice City Stories.
Okay.
So that's the prequel to Vice City that came out a few years later for the PSP and then later the PS2. Anyway, it's on V-Rock, and I thought, oh hell yeah, that's got that Iron Maiden da 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 kind of like sequence going on in there, and I fucking loved that. That chord sequence is the quickest way to get a thumbs up from me. That's a little cheat code for all the bands out there. But overall, it wasn't until I went to college and met my friend Dan. I have a couple college friends named Dan, but this Dan introduced me. You know, he loved a lot of the 80s metal stuff too, because he was like really into guitarists and their gear. Like, never in my life have I seen like a more clued up guitar tech nerd guy in my life. It was impressive. He religiously watched like Premier Guitar rig rundowns like daily. Yeah. And
that never connected with me at all. I barely even know what guitar I own, and I own one guitar.
The coolest thing though was like whenever I would ask him a question, I was like, "Hey, I want to get this sound. What signal chain do I need to put together? Oh, well, you want this. Put this before this to create this. This. Put this on this setting, and bada boom, bada bing, you're gonna sound like George Lynch." And I thought, holy fuck, you know, if my like college friend group had like an 80s movie about us, he'd be the tech guy that like makes all the traps and contraptions and shit.
He'd be the guy that like at one point opens up the laptop and goes, "We're in."
Yeah, literally. yeah, quite literally. So it's yeah, he listens to this show, which is great. But the coolest thing was we were in HMV in Truro, and we both had a little cash. And I said, right, you're going to give me something you recommend me to get into, and I'm going to do the same thing, and we're going to buy it. So we walked into HMV, and funnily enough, we both picked up 2 of those original album series 5-album CD packs.
Yeah, why not? If you're introducing somebody to something, here's 5 albums.
Exactly. And the coolest part is that I picked up the same Faith No More album pack that I'd picked up 3 years prior.
Yeah.
And he held up the Dokken one, and he said, you know, based on me, who was deep down the hair metal hole at this point, that very hairy hole.
That sounds gross.
Yeah. He said, if you don't love this, I'll eat my hat, right? And I said, dude, this will change the game for you. And we traded, and success. We both got into those bands.
That's an awesome story. I love shit like that.
Yeah, that was.
I would do that stuff really too, cool. But I don't really have friends. I guess I kind of do that with Mark Smurl now. We trade albums with each other, and he got me into Adam and the Ants, and so that's something.
Nice. Cranked and Ranked, Adam and the Ants coming soon.
Well, they only have 2 albums under Adam and the Ants, so that'll be a quick one. But
well, look at that. You can do a Slashed and Mashed as well.
We could just do Adam Ant. Which funny enough, like I just got Friend or Foe by Adam Ant, and that's the first one where the whole album didn't do anything for it. Songs on it were cool, and then other songs I was like, this isn't really quite as fun as when the Adam and the Ants thing was happening. So I don't know if I'm going any further into the Adam Ant world, but I did hear there's one in the mid 80s that apparently was produced and has drumming from Phil Collins on it. So that makes me kind of go, well, maybe I'll just check that one out.
Vive le rock.
Vive le rock. Anyway, yeah.
Hold up.
But Friend or Foe has that Goody Two Shoes song, which prior to that is the only Adam Ant song I even knew. Which is why I didn't get into Adam and the Ants, because that song is kind of dumb. But anyway, all right. We're not talking about Adam and the Ants. We're talking about Dokken and the Lynch.
Dokken and the Lynch.
Because let's be fair, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. Don Dokken needs George Lynch. If that's going to tell you anything about my ranking.
Okay.
But according to, but from the request of Mr. Eddie Sparxx, we also included both of the Don Dokken solo albums.
Yes.
Which one of them was going to be a Dokken album originally anyway. The other one is like acoustic stuff. But we included both of those as well. So this is like literally full Dokken. Like you're getting. The only thing more Dokken we could do is probably, go listen to the original mix of the first album. But I didn't do that. I just listened to the legit, major label one.
I think, it's one of those things. Like generally speaking, whenever we like slag off bands for re-recording material, it's generally when it's been like established. Then 20 years later, they record a version of it. It's like, dude, you didn't have to do that. This is clearly ticking the box for the label so you can get a new contract or something like that.
Yes, yeah, it's some sort of work
your obligation.
So if they re-recorded Breaking the Chains now, I'd be like, well, go fuck yourself. Anyway, so it's 14 releases total. And so that's a lot we got to go through. So I guess we should probably jump into it at this point.
Cool.
So let's do it. Let's get rocking with Dokken, and let's start. Oh man, I was going to try to like rhyme something with Sparxx, but let's hope these albums get good marks from Mr. Sparxx. Here he goes, number 14.
Hope there's not any shorts. Anyway, here we are. So this has ended up being one of my most interesting lists, I think maybe ever, because there's a lot of things I was surprised by. For as into Dokken I really only knew the first 5 albums, and by the first 5 I mean the first 4 Dokken albums and Up From the Ashes, which is the Don Dokken 1990 solo album. Mm-hmm. So this ended up being a really interesting kind of tale of ups and downs in the latter part of this discography. And there were a lot of pleasant surprises, but a lot of valleys as well, where I thought, oh, you had it. What were you thinking? Anyway, my number 14 Dokken album is Shadow Life from 1997.
Okay.
And my reason for this is because it's sandwiched between 2 much better 90s albums from this band. But on this album, in my eyes, Dysfunctional, they knew what they were doing, and it was 1995 by that point. Grunge had been, I mean, Kurt Cobain was dead by the time Dysfunctional came out. Yeah. So grunge had already been and gone, really. Grunge was dying out by the time Dysfunctional came along. And naturally, grunge would remain really influential through the 90s, and it's going to be hard for an 80s band in the 90s regardless, unless you do a complete Bon Jovi-style rebrand. However, they just sound lost on this album compared to the previous album that, in my opinion, they fucking nailed. The production feels bland. It's not hitting nearly as much as the two albums it comes between. The songs don't feel really developed. I'll give it's different, but it's different in a way that's kind of boring. And it's clear that on this album, they're trying to fit in, and that's disappointing following the previous release. And I hate to be this harsh about a 90s album from an 80s band, because I generally think that a lot of those are underappreciated. This one, to me, just feels like if you took all of the misses of any of those bands in the 90s and put it to an album, this, for me, is that example, because just it pretty much doesn't meet any of the bars for me as an album.
Yeah. This is probably not a hot take, because I don't know, people don't talk about Dokken that much. But you said, like, they were trying to fit in. My takeaway from all of these albums is that Don Dokken has been trying to fit in for 40 years.
I get that. I get that too. Yeah.
That's the one thing about this discography and I said this before, I think on another episode, or when we were talking about doing this ranking, that Don Dokken is not that great of a singer.
No,
he's good for what he does, but he's not unique. He's not insanely talented. He's just like right in this little pocket. And if he has to move anywhere out of his little pocket, it always sounds kind of awkward. And it's weird. That's just my opinion.
I will say, like, I think in the 80s, Dokken, Don fit in vocally well. There's lots of parts of songs that like do let him shine, especially in his higher register when he really goes for a high wail. But I mean, when you put it to grunge by people that don't really understand grunge, or even like the more harder edge metalish stuff that would happen on earlier albums, he always kind of seems a little out of his element. Just to my ears anyway. It's almost like if you took like kind of an AOR singer and kind of surprised him and said, "Oh, by the way, we're a metal band."
Yeah.
Oh.
Sometimes that works, because that's Joey Belladonna right there.
Yes.
Joey Belladonna was not like a metal singer, but he was able to incorporate himself. I mean, some people still don't like him, but I think that he ended up creating his own kind of lane with this heavy, fast music.
Yes.
Instead of him just saying, "Oh, it's the Joey Belladonna thing, I'm just going to do my thing." So, literally they'd be playing like a galloping fast beat, and he's like singing, "Should have been gone."
Yeah. Oh, Sherry.
Because I feel like he does love Steve Perry.
Yeah. Well, he does like a Journey tribute, right?
Yeah. I think he does that as well.
That's fun. I love
Journey's
that
calling it quits finally.
Man.
Journey should have called it quits like 30 years ago, but I mean, because honestly, like the beginning of that band, who they were as an early band, into the 80s version, all of that stuff is either cool or enjoyable, and then it just became cover band. Let's get this dude that sounds like Steve Perry in the band. It just became a traveling carnival show, or whatever.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
No. Fair critique.
Because that's me. I'll stick up.
And the sky keeps on turning.
But I'll those bands, because there's a handful of bands from that time. Sorry, Dokken. There's a handful of bands from that time that in the 70s started off like experimental and a little more like weird, and then in the 80s settled into some AOR type shit. But I will defend those bands for both of their like REO Speedwagon or whoever. Like those, like for some reason, the juxtaposition between some of that 70s stuff and then the really like poppy hit songs in the 80s, those two things together are very pleasing that they exist from the same band. But that's just me. Anyway. Dokken.
Sorry. I tried to breathe. I tried to breathe beer. Then
That's not how you ingest it. It's not meant to be air.
No.
It's a liquid for beveraging. Beveraging.
Well, you know, these sorts of things happen. You don't know if you don't try.
That's true. It could be like that. Was it that movie, the Abyss, where I think they come up with some sort of breathable liquid thing, and that's what helps them be able to go really fucking deep in the ocean without their heads exploding or whatever, something like that. It's been a long time since I saw that movie. Whatever. Anyway, are you done with your 14?
Yeah. I'm wrapping up 14, which is Shadow Life.
Okay. Luckily, mine.
Oh, sorry, Shadow Life, because it's all one word.
Shadow Life. Luckily, we'll be able to stick to some tangents because at least this first half, it's going to be real short for me.
Okay.
Because I listened to these albums all the way through in order, putting in the Dokken albums when they came out. So I got the full experience of where this band went. And so my number 14 is Heaven Comes Down from 2023, which is the 12th Dokken album. And it's literally been, at that point, 23 years of the same album.
Yeah.
And so my notes just say he's still at it, and it's the same old shit, and I don't like this shit. Like, it's so middle of the road.
Yeah.
And same sort of thing as I said on the last episode, we were talking about Sleep Token. All of these 2000s Dokken albums, you could just randomly play a song and I would not know what album it was from because they're all so similar. And so finally, once I got to Heaven Comes Down, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now it's this is post-pandemic Dokken, and it's still like nothing inspired him to make something more interesting. And I know he's an old dude now, but I was just like, oh my God, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's an 11-year gap between the previous album and Heaven Comes Down.
Yeah, and a pandemic. You think that, like, there would be some sort of spark? Like, oh, Dokken's back. You're not going to believe what we got for you this time. Same thing as last time. Here you go.
Yeah. Is that pretty much you wrapping up the 14? Because really with those ones, there's not really a lot to talk about, really.
Literally, you throw out, like, even when we did, who did we do? What was that one that we recently did? Why am I fucking blank? Danger. You get, like, you throw out any of these bands, you get to the 2000s, and there's this general old guy rock sound that they all just do. And the songs are all, like, interchangeable within bands. Like, you could just take songs from different bands and be like, all right, well, this is that 2000s old guy rock sound. So anyway, let's move on. That's all I need to say about that, because I'll be saying other things that are similar for the next 3 albums at least. Anyway, so you're number 13.
Cool. My number 13 ended up being the Dokken album Solitary from 2008.
Okay.
Now,
A very mellow affair.
It is, and right out of the gate, I'm going to say Don did an acoustic album. It's somber and sensitive, and it at least feels more authentic than Shadow Life.
That's the one. When I heard this album, I went, this is suited for his singing. It sounds good.
Yeah. My main critique is that it's just not what I'm going to Dokken nor Dokken for either. So
yeah.
Especially being as this album came out the same year as the album Lightning Strikes Again, which is something as well I'm going to highlight. Calling your new album the title of a song on a previous album, they've done that twice.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fan of it, because it's like, no, let this be its own thing. I know it's a cool title. You already did something called that. You don't need to do that again. There are so many other fucking things you could call something. There's 13 songs on the album that aren't called that, again, it's playing into that nostalgia of, remember we did this? That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, here's 13 more songs. But yeah, it's just for me when I think of Dokken, I'm not thinking of an acoustic album. I'm glad he did it.
Sure.
You know, I'm glad that there will always be, hey, did you know Don Dokken did a really sensitive acoustic album featuring a cover of My Heart Will Go On? But, you know, it's a fun little anecdote in the career, but it's not one that I'm going to revisit anytime soon because when I'm thinking of acoustic, I'm thinking Jar of Flies. I'm thinking, you know, that sort of vibe, you
Sure.
know? That being said, I think that this album already feels much more authentic because, you know, in 2008, you know, an acoustic album from a hard rock band, you know, people forget, you know, rock was still pretty fucking relevant, even the heavy shit in the 2000s,
Yeah.
in a way that it's not necessarily now. I mean, I think we're coming back around, but I can remember being like a hard rock heavy metal guy in the 2010s and feeling completely alienated from everything because it was like, oh, your guitar has distortion on it. That's not cool, bro. We're not doing that anymore. And it's
Yeah.
like, huh? You're telling me I got to be 16 during the most toned down guitar era? Fuck this. Yeah.
So an interesting. I'm not saying this is why Don Dokken did the album Solitary, but an interesting sort of peek into the industry because I have a little bit of insight into the industry. Doing an album like this, an album like of acoustic songs or even cover songs, I do know for a fact that artist managers and record labels occasionally will encourage things like this because you can take those songs and shop them to television shows.
Yes.
You can put out an album and then the label can take your song and be like, here's a nice acoustic number that you can throw in your hospital drama or whatever. And so there's always that possibility that when you're doing more accessible stuff, it could end up being a little bit of a paycheck for you, even if you're a smaller or an artist that once was big and now isn't. Your stuff is out there to be used however, you know, it can be used. Now, whether or not that actually happens, that's a different story. And I don't know for sure if that's why Don Dokken did it, but he could literally take most of that album and send it to TV studios, you know?
Yeah. You know, I'm really glad that this came up in conversation because I went down a bit of a rabbit hole the other night during this week, and I actually went on the wiki page for the band Autograph.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm fascinated with these like hair metal bands that had like one massive hit.
That's the only Autograph song I know. Turn Up the Radio. Is that them?
Yeah. And just going and seeing like what is listed as what they got up to either like after or if they joined another band. But they've got a really cool section for what everybody got up to post breakup per person. And I don't want to bog us down too much because there's a lot of albums we've got to talk about, and we're talking about Dokken. But I thought because we're in the same wheelhouse here, Steve Plunkett, the frontman of Autograph alone, has a really fascinating little bio here that says, when the original group disbanded in 1989, Plunkett became a staff writer and producer for All Nations Music, where he had over 170 of his songs released, including over 40 in movies like Rockstar, Brave New Girl, and Gods and Monsters. Many artists have recorded his songs, including Vixen, The Go-Go's, Mark Anthony, and Edgar Winter. He has also produced artists such as Cyndi Lauper, Loretta Lynn, Graham Nash, and En Vogue. He wrote and performed the theme song for the Warner Brothers television series Seventh Heaven, as well as several other theme songs for shows such as Summerland, Kojak, and Queen of Swords, which featured Behind the Mask, performed by Jose Feliciano. Plunkett has had his original songs in many TV shows such as Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, Sex and the City, and The Simpsons. Plunkett also released a solo album in 1991 entitled My Attitude. So even though his band only had like one massive hit,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a career.
And not even that massive, because if you say Autograph, Turn Up the Radio to a young person, they don't know what that is. But if you say, Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi, they probably know what that is. That's a massive hit. So.
But by today's standards, especially, I mean, I know Turn Up the Radio because of Vice City. That's on the V-Rock station in that game. But yeah, funnily enough, the lead guitarist from Autograph also has the surname Lynch, Steve Lynch. Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, and I bet you there's, if we really looked into it with specific members of bands, I bet you all kinds of band members went on to have similar careers, because that's just, if you love music and you want to continue doing it and you have an in the industry already,
absolutely.
Like, that's the one thing that I'm pissed off about, is that I wish that I could have gotten my 10 seconds of fame, or 10, what did I say, 15 minutes of fame?
15 minutes, yeah.
Because like, I always say that like, I'm glad that my bands weren't successful and I didn't become a rock star. But what I wish had happened is I would have had that thing where I got signed to a major, maybe we had a video on MTV, and then we did another album that didn't do very well, and then we got dropped. Because then I'm in the industry, and I feel like I could have done other cool shit, but I didn't even get that far. I didn't even get like to sniff the boot of an indie label. But that being said, but then we get to now, where I have so much trouble writing songs now that I would be useless anyway.
Which is exactly why Grave Circuit is going full hair metal for the next album.
Oh, he let it slip. But let's be fair. I didn't do any songwriting. That's the one thing that I admire about you and other people like you, is that you can write songs in styles, and I can't do it. My songs come out sounding like my songs. If I sit down and try to write a hair metal song, I don't even know how to begin doing it.
But there's also there's part of me that's kind of envious, because to have like your own thing, like I can very much write a song and be like, yeah, that's something I would write. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm going to spend the next fucking 3 days trying to find out which specific snare reverb is going to make it sound like Europe's Out of This World, or some like reference point I've got. Yeah. And I get a little bit like et up by just sitting there tweaking EQs and shit to be like, why doesn't it sound like this? I'm doing exactly what the like EQ analyzer says. But then I remember, oh yeah, I've not got access to a giant studio with a huge budget. And
you need a big drum room.
Yeah,
and a lot of cocaine, and then there's the sound that you want. And then you need like one of those Bo Hill or somebody like that to like step up and help you out. Anyway. So that I don't remember where we were. Oh, you were talking about Solitary. You done with Solitary as your 13?
I'm done with Solitary.
Okay,
let me out of solitary confinement.
I'm going to be quick. My number 13 is Broken Bones from 2012, which is the 11th Dokken album. And my only note I wrote down that said, "Who was excited by this?" Like, literally, even in 2012, who heard this album and was like, "Yes!" Like, it is. I mean, it's it. It's literally just so whatever rock music that it's like nothing interesting about it, nothing specifically very catchy about it. So there's not that aspect either. It's just old guy rock music. And that's not to say that old people can't do good music, because they can. It's been proven many times by many artists. But there are those artists that just settle into this sound, and it's depressing. So that's my number 13, Broken Bones from 2012. And you're now on to your number 12.
Okay, my number 12 is Long Way Home. and a huge reason for why it's this low compared to a couple I haven't mentioned yet is because they came back swinging after Shadow Life with Erase the Slate. They got Red Beach on Erase the Slate, and the guitar playing is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'll give him some props too. Reb Beach. Once I get to that album, Reb Beach also did a lot of heavy lifting with this band when he was in it.
Yeah, that album was a pleasant surprise when it showed up. But yeah, like what do you do when you come back swinging with a badass return from Red Beach on Erase the Slate? You go full butt rock because fuck you, it's 2002 and no big 80s band is allowed to have anything other than kind of shitty production because it's 2002 and you're a little older now.
Well, and there's also no money. They're all on indie labels now.
Yeah,
and there's no big studio. They're all looking to cut corners. I mean, I feel for these guys because I always said,
absolutely.
Like, imagine what it would be like to be one of those bands that was riding high, and then all of a sudden it's the 2000. It's like, cool, you have enough budget to go record at my brother Dave's studio in his garage. You know?
Yeah, as well. Like, I mean, you could kind of achieve a simulated, 80s rock sound now with relative ease because the recording software is so easy to use. But back in 2002 with like janky PC fucking equipment, I mean, you needed someone to be able to hack into the mainframe and go, we're in, to be able to fucking use it. So I mean, looking back at that, don't envy these bands in this position during this time period. However, around the early 2000s, there was a little bit of a resurgence where a lot of the massive bands from that era experienced a bit of a surge again. Yeah, like after that whole like glam slam metal jam thing, with Poison and stuff. It's almost like hair metal entered its punk phase around this time because it's like, yeah, we've all got like short spiky hair now because we want to bring pop punk bands out on tour, but we're still gonna play nothing but a good time, and you're gonna eat it up because I mean, how can we resist? Anyway,
exactly.
That's a nice little tie-in there. I'm proud of that. I'm looking at myself in the little fucking window right now, being like, you smart motherfucker. But yeah, the craziest thing for me about Long Way Home is the fact that John Norum from Europe plays guitar on this, and it doesn't really. He doesn't really shine on this the way he does on Up From the Ashes.
Honestly, comparatively speaking, I think nothing he did was impressive to me. Like if you comparing it to George Lynch or Reb Beach, the stuff with him on guitar is just like, he just feels like a stand-in guitar.
Okay. I think some of his like melody lines are really cool, but I definitely. I think he shone more in Europe, but I guess when you're the only guitar player being compared, you've got more room to really put your chops in. I'm not by any means dissing John Norum.
Yeah, but not to mention you come from a band where if somebody said, "Hey, what's the first Europe riff that comes to your head?" and it's not a guitar at all. Yeah, it's a keyboard.
That must be such a weird thing to experience. Be like, hey, I'm from an 80s hard rock band. Okay, what's your biggest hit? Oh, the one that goes do-do-do-do. Yeah, that's a keyboard. Yeah, no, I mean, I laid down.
There's guitars in it, I swear.
Yeah. That's the thing. He laid down such a fucking amazing, iconic guitar solo for people who know and understand 80s hard rock music.
Yeah.
But for the masses, that song is entirely dominated by the keyboard.
Yep.
Man,
not to mention that most of the time, if you hear that song on like movies or TV shows, you only hear the beginning. You don't hear the guitar solo.
Yeah, that usually shows up for 5 seconds of when like superheroes punching someone in the face or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, love Europe, and we need to do a Europe ranking at some point because
they have a lot of albums.
Yeah, I'm really excited to cover them because I've seen them live and they fucking crushed it. Mm-hmm. They were really, really good. But yeah, coming back around, Long Way Home. it's an 80s band in 2002, you know, with the best intentions of being like, right, we're on a little bit of an upward trajectory again compared to when we got our shit pushed in by grunge. So, yeah, simply put, though, John Norum on this doesn't shine the way he does, in my opinion, on Up From the Ashes. So,
Yeah.
with that, Long Way Home ends up at 12, which is unfortunate because I think it had a lot of potential. But
Okay. We're gonna quickly go through another one for me. Number 12 for me is Lightning Strikes Again from 2008, the 10th album, and this was the point in the 2000s discography where it was already blurring together for me, and I was just like, okay, well, because if you get to the point where I'm having to check what album I'm listening to, I'm like, am I still on? Nope, this is Lightning Strikes Again now. It's nothing interesting or really that much enjoyable. It's just pretty bland. And that's my number 12. Moving on to number 11.
So my number 11, I'm not going to camp out here for very long at all because you've pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. My number 11 is Heaven Comes Down. It's a late career album, and in Don Dokken's own words, probably their last. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it at least knows what it is. However, if I'm reaching for any Dokken, I've heard this done all like 5 times already, and I know that there's much more interesting music earlier in the discography regardless. So yeah, Heaven Comes Down comes in at 11. Heaven 11, something along those lines.
Hey, and we're gonna go in the opposite direction with my number 11, Hell to Pay from 2004. Get it? Heaven, hell, here we are. And boy, it was hell listening to this album. The 9th album from Dokken, and I just wrote, songs and production are pretty much what is expected in 2004.
Yeah,
that's really it. It's nothing interesting. I mean, I was already getting annoyed because I'm just like, oh, and I can see where this is already going to be for the next few albums, and this is bad. So yeah, Hell to Pay. It's not. It's literally. I mean, honestly, you would have to be a massive Dokken fan and want to listen to these albums over and over again to really actually pull out whatever nuances there might be of anything that's different. But it is it's for somebody that's just going through the discography and kind of getting a first time feel of what each of these albums is. You shouldn't have to listen to an album multiple times. I got a message. Not to bring up Mark Smurl all the time, but we're
don't do it.
But he messaged me about the Sleep Token episode, and he said, "Do you think that if you were listening to those albums with like friends, or you were really heavily digesting each album on its own, you'd be able to find differences in them or things that were unique about them because you've given it all this time?" I'm paraphrasing what he wrote me. And in my head, I'm just like, you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I can understand, like there should be something that grabs onto me, and then I will go in. But if that initial grab is not there, life is too fucking short to just give every album that much fucking time. So anyway, that kind of relates to how I feel about this later Dokken stuff, where I'm just like, I don't have that kind of time. And this first go through, I'm just like, nope, sorry. So
I would argue when it comes to that, I am not, I'm 100% ready to do the work, but I want to do that work. Nothing pleases me more than finding out, oh, there's a band with like 10 albums I'm gonna fucking love, and I'm gonna have to really like deep dive into this band. Kiss, for example.
Sure.
Right? Probably the most albums of any band we've ever covered, right? I was a complete noob, and yet here I am. They've infiltrated my top 10 bands of all time.
And even
because I wanted to do that, because it grabbed me and I wanted to do the full dive.
And on the same token, with a band like that, you get into Lick It Up, Asylum, Animalize. No, Adrenalize is like a totally different band. And like, Crazy Nights, that whole era. That's a really great example that if that sound doesn't immediately grab you, I don't think you're going to find much that's different from those albums. You're going to be, you have to, there has to be something that pulls you in. Yeah. And then that's when you do the work, and that's when you discover, oh, there's this fucking great little speed metal track in here, or whatever it might be. Yeah. So like that's what I'm trying to say is that, like, we always say this, there's no correct answer. And so like, there's nothing wrong with like listening to something and being like, look, that didn't draw me in to go any further, because there's so much music out there. And to be fair, the way things are going with the music industry, if band A does absolutely nothing for you and you don't want to listen to any more of them, but band B over here is doing something for you, then I'm fucking happy that you're getting into band B, whatever band that is. So it's like there's not enough time. There's not enough time for stuff that doesn't do anything for you. And then maybe one day it will do something for you and it will draw you in. I've had that with several bands. And so I don't even know where I was going. Hell to Pay wasn't very good. Let's move on to number 10.
Okay. My number 10 is Broken Bones. And there's a reason these two albums are neck and neck, and that's because this is, compared to the late career album that was Heaven Comes Down, we have Broken Bones, which is slightly earlier, but still late career 80s metal album. Mm-hmm. Again, it's that thing of it's middle of the road. There's some fun cuts, but nothing crazy. And that's the thing of a lot of these like bands that find themselves in this rut of, well, we can take our 80s licks, but put it to a modern hard rock sound. And we won't offend anybody by doing that, but we also don't stand out by doing that. Yeah. And it's that thing of, oh shit, are you just in a position where you're trapped now? And you have to, I don't know. I know I put Shadow Life at the bottom. And I think Shadow Life is, it sounds completely lost. They don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And the production doesn't hit, the songs aren't there, but it at least was a risk as well. But that's the thing I find myself with these bottom picks.
Oh Jesus! Sorry, I have a room full of dogs. Just so.
I was going to say they sound closer than normal.
Yeah, they're in here.
Oh, cute.
When we started the episode, my wife was on a phone call, and so I just went, "You guys can come hang with me."
Who was that?
That was Sonny.
Sonny.
I'm trying to.
No, Sonny, I don't have the money. That was my money, dummy. My money.
That's Jess down here in the corner.
Oh, hi. Hello. God, I love dogs. They're so fucking cute.
I do too.
Oh.
All right, hold on. I think I can let them out. Give me a second.
Okay, no worries. They look a little antsy. Hey, this is Eddie Sparxx. How are you enjoying the show so far? Old head can't hear me right now, but I really hope he doesn't take this out, because this is a nice little moment we get to have together right now. We're enjoying a quiet little moment. Basically, what I was saying is that I like when bands take risks, but I also like when they mean it. And yeah, basically. Okay, so basically I did a little bit of stalling there. You don't need to put a transition there or anything. I've done a little bit of stalling. Basically, all I said was I like when a band takes a risk, but I also like when they mean it.
Yeah.
And that's my point going forward, is that I appreciate a risk whether it works out or not. However, Shadow Life did sound lost to me. However, Broken Bones and Heaven Comes Down, they're also nothing I'm going to reach for. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Cool. My number 10 is Solitary, the Don Dokken solo album from 2008.
I'm glad you did put it a little higher than I did with Solitary, because I feel like it does deserve a bit more in retrospect.
Honestly, it was literally just the fact that it sounded like he was in his arena. Like his voice was good with the acoustic songs, and it seemed like a good fit. I didn't like, all the songs, but it wasn't bad because it was, once again, it was in this list of albums, it was something different. Even though like it didn't hold my attention the whole time, but the acoustic mellow thing worked well with his voice, and so I gave it at least a little props by putting it at number 10. That being said, I don't ever want to listen to it again, but it sounded nice for what it is, so that's my number 10.
Cool. So that brings me to my number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. My number 9 is Hell to Pay.
All right.
Now, Hell to Pay, at least for me, obviously it's still like early 2000s vibes of this kind of band. However, there were some songs that stood out to me and some that didn't quite hit the mark. It's kind of a half and half. It's what I'd call a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
I liked half of it. The other half I could take or leave. But again, it falls into this middling territory of do something interesting, It's like, we already have this. In fact, in 2004, we already had successful bands doing this. You're all established 80s bands,
Yeah.
What was something in the 80s that, granted, I know a lot of people turn around and call 80s hard rock and hair metal, glam metal, that sort of scene kind of formulaic or manufactured. Sure, you could hurl a little bit of that way. There's a reason why thrash and grunge kicked ass in the early 90s. However, they've gone from, we're a hard rock band to, I hope they like us.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, come on. Throw a fucking G-funk break in the middle of your song.
Well,
I'm not saying that any band has to go like crazy out of the park. I'm not saying every band needs to be Mr. Bungle. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I think that there are ways, there must be ways for people this talented, this connected, this in the industry to come out with something that's pushing things a little forward. In fact, I would say get a little progressive with your songwriting or something like that.
Look, I didn't like this album, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it a little bit of like a support here, because imagine this. So like you're a band like this. Here's essentially what they had to go through. They were like, you're rock stars, we love you. And then all of a sudden, almost overnight in the 90s, it's like, fuck you. And then every step that they take, they're still getting pushed further away, but everyone is still going, fuck you. And then finally, in the early 2000s, you hear somebody go, wait, hold on. And they go, what? And like, so imagine going through this cycle of like highs and lows. And then there's a window of like, hey, it might not all be bad now. Like, what do you do with an album that you're going to put out? Like I like playing it safe, fuck it. But I also understand that idea of like, what the fuck are we going? Because like literally think of it. Has there ever, before that, was there ever another genre of music that went through that? There isn't one that I can think of where literally it went from being riding high, super popular, to everybody fucking hates it. Like, disco maybe, but disco
new metal.
New metal was a little bit later, but even with new metal, that stuff continued some popularity. There wasn't, there was a backlash against new metal, sure, but this was the first one, the first big backlash for something that was that popular for that amount of years. And these artists, and I don't really equate it with disco, because disco was a lot of like producers making albums or whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it. These were bands. As much as you want to say they were manufactured, I think you're going to find, if you really do the digging, it's very few that were actually manufactured or actually following a trend. These were dudes that all enjoyed this music. They were all trying to make it big. And so now you're back. Now you're in the early 2000s, and somebody's like, well, hold on. We actually kind of like some of this stuff, and then you want to make an album. I think the last thing you want to do is be like, hey, let's throw a techno song in the middle of it, because like you're like, look, they're welcoming us back in. Let's try to not fuck it up. And in not trying to fuck it up, for somebody like me, they totally fucked it up. So, but I kind of get it. I kind of get that idea of like, what the fuck do you do? What do you do? What's the right answer?
I would say, and this is not me saying I have the answer, but you know, for me, looking at this as, I mean, every single one of these bands had a hotshot guitarist.
This one especially. You
had to be like world class good to be in one of these bands as a guitar player.
Yeah.
As a lead guitarist especially. And the thing is, I think ultimately, I don't know if it would have worked, but I do wonder if a lot of these 80s metal bands transitioned into doing early Dream Theater style prog, if it would have worked out for them. You know,
because like what's that band? What's that band from the Fates Warning? Was that one that they were kind of like that?
Yeah, I do have to wonder if they just kind of leaned into, right, well, the Pussy Party Paycheck thing is over.
Yeah.
Let's all admit we like Dungeons and Dragons now. I don't know. Something to that effect. I don't know. It's just like very musically nowadays, I think a lot of like the guitar player kind of crowd, the people that really like guitar playing are in more of a, it's not the jocks anymore. The jocks are blasting hip hop and at the parties, you know.
Is there a modern band that has like a virtuoso like lead guitar player that's like really renowned, like people love them? Can you think of one?
Who's that guy? Fuck, what's he called? His name sounds exactly like the dude that made the Muppets. Tim Henson from Polyphia.
Oh, I don't even fucking know. But I don't like that's not a good example, because you should be able to say his name and I should go, oh yeah, that guy. But I can't think of one that's that big that his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, like you knew these guys' names because they were incredible guitar players, but also like a lot of them had their own style and thing going on, but also they were promoted as a selling point of a lot of these bands. So that's why you knew, or I guess sometimes also it helps when the band is kind of named after them a little bit too, because you have like Tracy Guns. Well, he's in LA Guns.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons like I'm like this band is named Dokken, and the coolest part of this band is George Lynch.
Yeah.
Anyway,
which was a source of major tension. I don't know if you know, but Don
I read a little bit about
Dokken
it.
Don Dokken and George Lynch are not on the best of terms.
Dude, according to the wiki, by album 2, they couldn't record in the same room together.
Can you imagine that? Like being and don't get me wrong, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think there's probably a little bit of ego on both sides, and to be honest, at that time where you are just being lifted on a pedestal of you are a fucking rock star,
Yeah.
and you are the elite rock stars, you know. And they weren't even at the top of the pile, but they were damn good enough to be there.
Yeah.
But
And I feel like I don't know enough about this band, but I have a feeling here is where the tension came from. George Lynch is an amazing guitar player, and George Lynch is like, yeah, and then Don Dokken is like, but the band is called Dokken, and that was literally that right there. That's the tension right there, because nobody's singing the praises of Don Dokken. And I don't remember anyone ever singing the praises of Don Dokken, because when I was a kid, I didn't even know the singer's name was Dokken. I thought the guitar player's name was Dokken, like Van Halen, you know?
damn.
So,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, especially, you know, we have the hindsight now of being able to turn around. Oh, yeah, back then people didn't have Wikipedia. You couldn't just look up who the guys were.
And I didn't like them enough to go read about them in the metal mags I was reading, and so I just sort of made the assumption that, oh, it's Dokken and this guitar player's great, so clearly his name is Dokken, you know?
Yeah. Word of mouth, I guess. I mean, unless you're reading the liner notes.
Which I didn't,
like,
obviously. I wasn't into them. But,
or like Kerrang! Magazine or any of the metal mags at the time.
I feel bad that I'm dumping on Don Dokken. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't.
Honestly, we're not here to make enemies. We're not a fucking drama channel.
I do know that they've at least mended their relationship enough to go on tour together. Because I saw that there was a tour a couple years back that was Dokken and George Lynch.
Yeah,
like I don't think George Lynch played with Dokken. I'm sure he probably got on stage and played Dokken songs, but it was George Lynch's band opening for Dokken, and I'm like, well, there's got to be, you know, water under the bridge at that point, or if they're able to do that kind of tour. But anyway,
man, I've been. I was actually looking up because Don Dokken actually has had a lot of health issues. I know he had cancer at some point.
oh shit.
But I was just looking up, is Don Dokken retiring? Yes, Don Dokken is planning to retire from performing live, stating he will likely play his final Dokken concert within the year, and that Dokken's 2023 album will be their last. He cited health issues, including arm paralysis after neck and spinal surgeries, as a primary reason for wanting to retire and enjoy his life. He will retire from playing live, though he noted the possibility of a future collaborations, like writing an EP with guitarist George Lynch. So he's done a relatively recent Don Dokken, why I'm retiring in 2025. I mean, it's sad, but it's also the natural passage of time that, you know, nobody lives forever. But like a huge thing that, you know, I began to notice is that, you know, when I really got into hair metal or glam metal or 80s hard rock, whatever you want to fucking call it, you know, a lot of these dudes, they were in their late 50s, if not coming up for 60, if they hadn't already cracked it. But now, 10 years on doing this show, I find myself thinking, man, like, I don't think I'm emotionally prepared for what the next decade is going to bring, because so many of these guys lived like hard lives, and so many of them are already gone.
Yes.
And
honestly, the best you know, measuring stick we have out there is probably Lemmy, because Lemmy like lived it up until the end, and he was was he 70 already, or was he 69 when he died?
Funnily enough, not funnily, it's probably not the best way to describe that, but I know I saw Motorhead the year that Lemmy died. Like one of his final performances. And I actually saw him at the Eden Project. The Stranglers were supporting. Anyway, he died on the 28th of December, 2015, aged 70. And I feel like 70 is kind of a high score to beat for these dudes.
So you know, for a lot of these dudes, like 70 is probably a good, you know, number that we're going to land on for a lot of them. But that's a good run. But so that's depressing to think about, because you are right, because it's like, you know, a lot of the music that was really effective really affected me and was really influential on me. Those guys were all about 10 years older than me in the 80s and the 90s. And so they're all people that, I'll probably just start seeing them pass away. And that's depressing.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's,
the fact that this is the year we lost Ozzy, like, I know I don't want to be the one to, like, keep going, fuck, man, I can't believe Ozzy's gone. I mean, he got to 76 after what he got up to.
Yeah.
And, like, that's still, I mean, that's 3/4 of a century. That's not bad going, especially considering that there were so many times in his life where that could have been a much lower age.
Yes. Well, I mean, and he thought it was going to be in the early 90s. That's why he originally was going to quit touring, because he thought he was dying. Turns out, that's why I always say, go get a second opinion, folks.
Yeah.
Because he literally did that, and the doctor was like, "Oh, you're not dying." He's like, "Whew, let's go back out on tour, Sharon." Anyway, where were we? Were we on number 9?
Yeah, I've pretty much wrapped up my number 9.
What was your number 9? I don't even remember now.
It was Hell to Pay.
Hell to Pay. All right, let's go through this one. I have a little bit more about this one, but it's still, not great. My number 9 is Long Way Home from 2002, the 8th Dokken album. Sometimes I make myself laugh with my notes, but it's not, it's not that funny. I said the Europe guy is back on guitar, bringing pretty much nothing to the table. I thought for 2002, this album does have surprisingly good production. It wasn't awful.
Yeah.
But the problem is the songs are pretty bland. The one thing that I can say is that once the songs started to become more bland, Don Dorkin, he sounded less out of place.
Oh man.
So, but Long Way Home is another pretty dull album, and it just didn't do much for me. But I guess when you're talking about the 2000s output, it's as good as it got. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I said, it was a rough period for a lot of these bands. And so you could honestly say that Long Way Home's probably like pretty good in comparison to some other shit that was happening at the time. But it didn't do anything for me. So that's my number 9, Long Way Home.
Okay, that brings me to my number 8. And this is where we kind of turn a corner for me.
Uh-huh.
And this is where we enter the realms of, let him cook. And that generally centers around it sounding like a Dokken album. My number, number 8 is Lightning Strikes Again. And I know it's not George Lynch on guitar, but I kind of weighed it up and I thought about it like this. John Levin is the guitar player on this album.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 Kiss albums had Tommy Thayer on guitar,
mm-hmm.
basically playing Ace as a character. If we're being honest,
yeah,
in terms of the spaceman, and I think honestly, when I at least think of the Dokken sound, Lightning Strikes Again has those identifiable Lynchisms where it's like, oh, well, this already has a bit more of that Dokken personality than Broken Bones and Heaven Comes Down.
Mm-hmm.
Because Broken Bones and Heaven Comes Down they feel very middle of the road. They feel mid. Hell to Pay was half and half.
For older folks, that's a younger term used to mean kind of just whatever.
Yeah.
Mid.
Yeah. Mid is to millennials as meh. But yeah, like
I do my best to try to decode young people stuff whenever I can. Yeah. But that's...
I will say, however, I think mid may be the easiest thing to decode ever because it represents the 5 out of 10. It ain't great, but it's not offensively bad.
Yeah. What's the word that they use for bad?
There's so many.
But there's like one.
Chuggy,
No, no. They still say that?
No, no, I'm just being, I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know.
I know that's been around for fucking ages. Yeah, there's loads of stuff they chopped. That's it.
Honestly, sometimes young people do shit, and it reminds me of me as a younger person, and it makes me so happy that this kind of shenanigans is still going on.
Yeah,
I am in love with this whole 6'7" thing.
dude, it was pissing me off right until I saw some woman at a PTA meeting like, I'm scared shitless by the boys on the scooters saying 6'7", and nobody knows what it means, and now it has to be stopped. And at that point, I reached a point where I was like, nah, these kids know what's up.
It's so good because like that's the kind of shit that we did when I was young, was that you would just come up with something that pretty much meant nothing. And then you would create it, and it could mean whatever the fuck you wanted it to mean, or it could literally just mean I'm annoying you.
Yeah.
And oh God, I love shit like that because, like, because I feel like I'm a 47-year-old man, but I feel like I haven't gotten to old man stage yet, where like I get annoyed at stupid shit. I just
Unk status, as they say.
yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I sometimes those things happen, and I go, that's fucking hilarious. It's like the first time I knew that there was an actual like literally at my local grocery store. I'm in there and I look at the toy section and there's a fucking skibbity toilet toy. And I just giggled to myself because I'm all like, what the fuck is that? Who cares? That's fucking awesome. Because it's like, that's whatever it is. The fact that it's called that makes me really happy because I'm just like, you know what? These little dorks are still dorking, and just like Dokken.
Dude, there's a part of me that's the thing. Every generation has its like goofy thing.
Yeah.
That older fucking idiot folk find threatening, and they as soon as they figure that out, it's like, let's lean into it.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, how can you forget that that's how it worked? That as soon as you go, quit doing this, I don't like this, I don't understand this, and then that it just blows up from there. Like, are you really? If you all become that stupid?
Yeah.
Anyway, there are some younger people trends that annoy the fuck out of me. That's just more of a, I don't know.
Dude, it's one of those things where I just think to myself, it's one of those things that's going to be like funny until there's a death associated with it, and then it's going to get real somber. It's like when planking was a thing, and I was like, oh, look at me, I'm in a tree that's not far from the ground, but it's absurd that I'm here. I'm planking on this, I'm planking on this, and then one dude planked on like a fucking wind turbine and got slammed into the ground or some shit, and no one
totally
did it
forgotten
anymore.
about that fad.
Yeah.
Right? That's a period that was just, it seemed depressing because the things that were quote unquote trendy were just not even fun or funny. It was like planking, flash mobs, like all of this stuff. I'm just like, you're just taking something lame and making it popular. Like that, can you do some cool shit? Like, anyway.
Oh man,
right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah. Eventually, someone's gonna get shot, and the bullet casing is gonna have 6'7" etched into it, and we're gonna stop doing it.
we went up to the room, and Junior had killed himself, and on a piece of paper he had put "skibbity toilet."
Dude,
I'm sorry, guys. That's very morbid.
No. Honestly, I really, really, really hope that it's not AI. But I, in passing, was scrolling through TikTok, and it was this old woman at a PTA meeting or something, and it was literally about something has to be done about these boys on scooters saying 6'7" when they drive past houses. No one knows what it means, but it needs to be stopped. And
boys
it's like
on scooters.
Yeah, and
is that a thing?
And like the thing that like stuck with me is, how do you have time to care about that? Like,
You fucking nailed it right there.
I can't get from one end of the day or the other without being stressed about so much shit in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's I have to take care of my house. I have to take care of myself. I have to make sure I've done everything with my job. I have to make sure that I've listened to all the albums. Despite the fact I love doing this, it's another list, it's another thing on the list.
Exactly.
So there's so much shit to do. Why are you threatened by a number? Like
You have just described privilege. Like
Yes,
you're
yes.
that privileged that you have the time to care about kids yelling a number and you not knowing what it means.
Yeah. Honestly.
Like, congrats on having a great life. Maybe you should just go chill, you know?
Yeah, and also, right? You fall and break your hip, that's your life over, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they wanted to fuck you up, they would have done it years ago at this point, you know? It's one of those things where if, like, man, a simple Google search will tell you what this is, and they're still not getting it. It's just not going in, you know?
It's baffling the number of people that don't understand that there's a search engine on the internet just ready for them to ask questions.
Yeah.
And like, because I'll have people that will like I think I've said this before. I'll post like some band saying, "Oh, if I fucking love this album," and somebody be like, "What does it sound like?" I'm all like, "You could have literally just taken that and Googled it and probably brought up a video with a song with the time that it took you to put that comment asking me to explain to you what something sounds like."
Dude, it fucking kills me as well on like YouTube videos. If you're listening to this and you've done this, stop it, right? Right. When you watch fucking YouTube channels where they're doing album reviews and they've put a real effort into doing a really good review of the album, and they've put a real effort into appealing to a crowd or something, like they're really honing their niche, and someone turns around and says, "Well, you didn't play any clips of the song, so I don't know what it sounds like." Motherfucker, YouTube copyright will pick a song out
coming from one of those YouTubers. If we were able to do it, we would do it every video.
Yeah, and like that, I remember having this like 20 comment conversation with someone one time. I think it was on some like, you know, Sea of Tranquility video or something that was like, I just really wanted to clear up that the YouTube content claiming system is automated and will recognize a sound wave from if you play it. It's like, if you play above 5 seconds of this song, it will know what song it is, and you won't make any revenue from it. And a bigger channel that's monetized,
or your video just gets blocked totally.
Yeah,
like sometimes it's not just revenue. The video that you worked on just won't be able to go up unless you cut the song out.
I remember, what is it? I remember, it was a Nakey Jakey video or something, and he alluded to the fact that there was a video he did where it was 45 minutes of the best, well-edited, over-the-top thing, deconstructing the outdated game design of a company. He's done a few of those now, and saying that these guys need to improve this area of their thing, right? And he had his entire video demonetized for 4 seconds of Careless Whisper where he made kind of a sexy joke, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't that's the thing. I remember having this conversation with this person, and this was early on before I realized I had more shit to be worrying about. Again, this comes into the thing of, how do I have time to care about this? But ultimately, it came back around to me being like, no, you don't understand. There's not some dickhead on the other side of the computer watching your video, listening to it. It's an automated system that detects waveforms and compares them. Oh, that's identical to this. No money for that dude this month. And it's like, oh, but a lot of these people don't have this fucking light bulb moment where they realize, oh yeah, I could just look that up myself. Oh,
I had a video demonetized for using a fucking tone. Like like one of those things where just like it's like music, but it's just like a tone, and it was literally a free tone from iMovie.
Yeah,
and some motherfucker claimed it.
Yep.
And I even contested it because I'm just like, this is free fucking music I just used here. And they said, nope, video's demonetized. I'm all like, somebody claimed a fucking tone. I'm like, fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
One of the wildest things I've ever seen, it's a YouTuber I watch called Emperor Lemon, and he makes these really good like video essays with like kind of YouTube poop style editing. It's really funny. Like there's a lot of meme edits in there, but generally speaking, they're really well constructed essays. He did like a 30-minute video on SpongeBob and why it's still a cultural monolith compared to other shows of its era that have been cancelled or have gone downhill. And the reason, like, the reason he brought it up is he said, oh yeah, by the way, that SpongeBob video I did doesn't contain any SpongeBob music, and yet someone manually claimed it without watching the video because the content claimant system can be very predatory and just turn around and say, you used the SpongeBob theme, but he never used any SpongeBob music in it. So this wasn't even automated, right? You not only have the very accurate already content ID system, which picks out like a nanosecond of audio and says, yeah, that's owned by Warner Music Group. All your ad revenues go to them. And then on the flip side, you've got people who do their due diligence and fucking don't use a single scrap of copyright audio-wise, and yet someone still claims it because, oh, well, I don't really have enough time on my shift to check to see if the SpongeBob theme is actually in here. Let's just safely assume he did and fuck his revenue for the month.
Yeah.
Coming back around, simply put, people just don't fucking understand that they can look shit up themselves.
Yeah.
You have a phone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Honestly, like, yeah, it's I hate describing music.
yes.
Like, that's so aggravating to me that I would rather just be able to play 30 seconds of a couple songs and be like, here's what you're getting here. And then everything else will be my, emotional, because my reviews are usually, very emotion driven, like what this album made me feel, what these sounds made me feel, what these songs. And so, but I got to the point now where like, I literally don't use anybody's content at all anymore. I used to occasionally use like clips from the internet or from the movie or clips of a song. I've completely stopped anything because there's no way to know. And then all of a sudden you've done all this work and your video either gets blocked or gets demonetized. And I know like, you shouldn't be in it for the money, but I've been doing this shit for like 6 years plus now. And I still get paid fucking nothing really from the little bit that I do. And so it's like every little bit counts.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, yeah.
One thing I will say that I'm incredibly grateful to have just missed, and that is AI. Like unis and colleges have started using AI to detect plagiarism, and the amount of people I've seen online just saying, "Hey, I did all of this myself," and it's like, well, do you have 30 straight hours of video footage as proof of you sat doing this?
Yeah.
What's the fucking point anymore?
That's the thing. That's the thing that I don't understand, because let's say like, you're having your class write a 200-word essay on Of Mice and Men. And if you think about the number of 200-word essays that have been made on Of Mice and Men over the past, how many years since that book came out? So they're all writing about the same thing. So at a certain point, using AI to do that kind of thing, it's pointless, because like it's just like, oh, of course they're all writing the same thing.
Yeah. Ooh. This essay contains of mice and men. Clearly, you ripped this off.
Every one of these uses the word rabbits. Why is it? That's a joke for people that know that book.
Oh man. Fuck, dude.
Anyway, have you read that book? Do you know that reference? The rabbits?
No, but I've kind of heard a thing about the rabbits from people who did study the book. But
Yep, tell me about the rabbits.
Tell me about them rabbits.
Anyway,
what that rabbit do?
that's the remake.
Featuring
anyway.
Kevin Hart and Will Smith in this next summer's comedy. What that rabbit do?
Keep my rabbit's name out your fucking
Out your
mouth.
fucking mouth. Oh, this is a good episode.
not for Dokken fans.
Oh, dude.
I've literally just talked shit about Don Dokken and had all these tangents. Where were we? You're number 8. Well, what was your number 8? What was it?
Oh, yeah. Just
we wrap it up?
Coming back around. I've said that a lot this episode. Drinking game. Go back, watch the episode again, and listen to every time I said that.
Yeah, please.
Lightning Strikes Again, not featuring the song Lightning Strikes Again, but cashing in on the nostalgia of a much greater song. So do a tactical reload, and then bada boom, bada bing. This is Patrick Stewart. How are you enjoying the program so far?
Every once in a while, we like to get a little wasted. We like to take a taste of alcohol.
I'm doing a piss poor job with this pint, dude.
Yeah, it is what it is. I saw a video one time where like an expert on beer was saying that having a good big head on your beer actually helps the flavor of the beer once it settles.
They actually say that about something else too.
All right. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I just drink it. I'm not a.
We've actually run long enough to have a double refill.
Damn, a double refill. I don't have any beer, but that's just because it's 2:45 in the afternoon here.
This is my nice little reset at the end of the week where I just kind of chill out and talk about funny shit.
Nice.
I'm just quietly, secretly trauma dumping all of my weekly stress into talking about music.
It's like this is a podcast / therapy session.
Yeah, honestly, it is. This is, in my day to day. Very often, I don't run into people who know what I'm talking about, so it's nice to be able to be like.
I don't even run into people,
dude. Yeah. Oh man.
Although I did go. Whenever I do go out now, I'm happy to say that I was at a convenience store yesterday, and a young person came up to me and said, "Sick hair, bro." And I thought
that's chill as fuck,
that
dude.
made
I love
me feel like I was super cool because I'm like, oh, that I got a compliment from like a young person. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna go with my number 8 now. Like, get this fucking shit rolling.
Cool.
All right, my number 8. This is gonna. I know this is one you like, so it's gonna be weird that this is this low for you probably. My number 8 is "Up from the Ashes" by first Don Dokken solo album from 1990. Here's the thing.
Okay.
This started as a Dokken album, but then like the band kind of fell apart, and there was George Lynch exited, I think, before it was even recorded. And the thing about this album is that it still sounds like it's got a one big foot still in the 80s, but the harder edge is pretty much gone from this album. And this was the point that I realized, oh, you take George Lynch out of the equation and there's not a lot that's really that enjoyable anymore, because like I said before, Don Dokken's not an amazing or unique singer. And then all of a sudden you just have this kind of middle of the road, late 80s hard rock. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, it's not bad at all. It's just, for what it is, it's fine. But coming out of the string of albums they had in the 80s, I was just like, wow, this is real sort of like not bringing me anything exciting, and made me miss George Lynch. So that's why Up from the Ashes ends up number 8 for me.
I love that one. It's probably my favorite sounding of all the albums in terms of production, because it's got enough of that early 90s oomph there. The drum sound in particular I fucking love. But again, I kind of get where you're coming from. There's a lot of George Lynch's guitar playing has so much personality to it, and it's very identifiable. There's like I've mentioned it before, some Lynchisms that really pop out. Whereas if you hear this, it's kind of just like you say, middle of the road, 80s.
Well, I also
1990 era glam metal. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like the stuff that made Dokken be able to sort of mingle with those harder edge bands, i.e., Rat, Motley Crue, whatever, was the fact that there was almost a metal element to some of the songs, and then all of a sudden that's gone. Like nothing on this album really sounded like metal to me. And that's the thing that I think that was cool about a lot of that batch of those bands was that they had riffs. Like there were riffs in those fucking songs. Anyway, so yeah, that's just my take on it.
No problemo, dude. So where are we at? Number 7. Number 7. My number 7, we have entered the realm of albums that I find really quite nice. And this one is 1999's Erase the Slate.
Hey, that is also my number 7.
Hey, we matched up.
Yep.
Nice. It's always fun when that happens. So let's camp out here in Erase the Slate land.
In 1999.
1999. Recorded 1998 to 1999, which is 1998 is the year of my birth, which
with Reb Beach on guitar from Winger. If you don't know who Reb Beach is, but that's another one of those bands that
unfairly bullied out of the spotlight.
Unfairly bullied, but the guitar work on a lot of that Warrant stuff is really cool.
Winger.
What did I say?
You said Warren.
So yeah,
you're not doing him any favors.
That guitar playing on White Snake and White Lion. Actually, the guitar playing on White Lion's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Let's get it. We'll do that band later. If you want
bands.
If you want to hear me totally fanboy out over a guitar player, when we get to White Lion, you're going to hear that.
Vito Bratta, right?
Dude, fucking rules. Anyway, yes, Winger, Reb Beach's guitar playing in Winger is fucking great. Anyway, and he's on this album. He steps into the shoes of what should have been George Lynch, because I guess George Lynch was back for a couple albums and then he left again for the final time.
I think on Shadow Life, strangely enough, I think George Lynch took quite a lot of control on Shadow Life. That caused a lot of tension, and with that, he was booted again.
Damn.
But
fucking soap opera.
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to see a biopic of Dokken, but it is literally just a boxing match, Rocky style, between George Lynch and Don Dokken. But yeah, Erase the Slate is a kick-ass fucking hard rock metal album on the heels of Shadow Life. That was, I'm sorry, that album to my ears didn't have nearly the charm that Erase the Slate had, because this one to me feels like they at least know what they're doing again. And Shadow Life, because you haven't mentioned Shadow Life yet, right?
I have not.
See, for me, most of the time, an album like Shadow Life, where an 80s band goes really 90s, I get it, but like, I kind of feel like they nailed it with Dysfunctional, and then Erase the Slate came after it. It just kind of it lands in shit sandwich zone for me. I'm sorry, but it's sandwiched between two albums that I really liked. But Erase the Slate, this one, it clocks in at about 48 minutes. It's Red Beach is injecting new life into a band that, to me, on that album sounded lost. Whereas on this one, they sound revitalized and energetic. And by 1999, nu metal was ruling the new stuff.
Yeah.
Hence its name. But I think this is a great way to enter that glam slam metal jam. Oh, not everybody hates Poison era. So it's like, we've come full circle from, glam metal's heyday in 1989 to its decline by 1993 at least. And then bada boom, bada bing, we're in 99. Red Beach is in Dokken and fucking killing it. Yeah, I really like this album. Over to you for your 2 cents. I'm really pleasantly surprised here.
I don't love this album. That's the thing, is that I don't think we get to an album that I really, really like for a bit. But I enjoy Red Beach's guitar playing. Unfortunately, this does suffer from the late 90s. The label doesn't give us as much money anymore, so the production style is kind of lacking for me.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the energy and sort of a step back into the heavier sound here. But to be fair, Red Beach is doing all the heavy lifting here. And even the songs that I think were really cool, if I had to pick a weak link, it's Don Dokken. And so it's a fascinating thing to me to go through this band named after this guy who just does nothing for me. So it's this one unfortunately gets a little dull after a bit, but the approach and the I don't know, what they were going for, I appreciate it. It just didn't 100% please me the way that some of their stuff did. But so Erase the Slate's my number 7. Clearly I liked the other 90s output more. That'll be coming later. But yeah.
Cool.
Moving on to number 6.
Cool. That brings me to my other 90s pick that I really liked, and that is Dysfunctional from 1995. Mm-hmm. Now, this for me was the where has this been all my life album of this listening, because I found myself thinking, I'm guilty here. I'm guilty of thinking after Beast from the East, which was the last release they did, the live album with one last studio cut, Walk Away, as the power ballad at the end. It's kind of a bummer to go out on that one where it's like, just walk away, there'll be no more tomorrows. And the music video, they're all in different places. It looks very splintered, and it's like, oh man, these guys didn't even make it to Nirvana before they broke up. Holy shit, So yeah, it for me, Dysfunctional.
Aptly titled, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, it's probably the most honest fucking album title they have. Yeah. Breaking the chains, tooth and nail, under lock and key, back for the attack. Yeah, we've all been to therapy now, and we understand that there's a problem here. We're dysfunctional. But, I mean, it's really cool, and I'm regretful for not listening to this sooner, because I enjoyed this from start to finish, and there's even a fucking Emerson, Lake and Palmer cover on this, which I didn't even realize when I was listening to it, but I just really like what they did with this album, where it feels like in 1995, it's recorded 94 to 95, in that time, they were like, we're not going to succumb to the peer pressure of going grunge. We're going to do a harder edge version of what we were doing. And there's a lot of stuff on this that almost gives me Saigon Kick vibes, where it's like, it's an 80s hard rock band, but
they leaned into that harmony
Beatles,
vocal thing.
Yeah,
Galactic Cowboys, King's X, Saigon Kick, like they leaned into that. Yeah.
Beatles harmonies over heavy riffs.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's a sound that's really appealed to me for a long time and doesn't really get old. And it's something that nobody talks about. You know, everybody always talks about Overnight, Smells Like Teen Spirit, killed hair metal in its tracks, and everybody stopped showering and music's better as a result, right? But the alternative metal influence of that time really, and unless you're like a muso guy who's really into the music thing, unless you're deep down the music hole of this era, you don't understand it unless you know the whole ecosystem that surrounded that.
Yeah.
You know, the entry level understanding is that Smells Like Teen Spirit killed Poison overnight and bada boom, bada bing, the whole world works.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. There was a build-up in the late 80s of like Soundgarden, Faith No More, Jane's Addiction, King's X, all of these cool bands doing what lived in the hard rock heavy metal world with the distorted guitars, heavy shit under it, but there was more to it as well. It was more experimental. There was more emphasis put on interesting songwriting and arrangement and structure and stuff like that, which toppled hair metal from its pedestal because all those bands could tour together because, barring the frontman and guitarist, they may as well be swappable.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's not me being horrible. That's me speaking as a lover of the genre.
There were a lot of bands that were partially interchangeable. Yeah.
And here's another thing is that I very much, I even received the nickname Mr. 87 at one point because of how much I talked about how good fucking hard rock was in 1987.
Yeah.
However, my favorite period of music is that 88 to 92, 93 changeover.
Yeah.
Where no one quite knows what's going on at the time. They're just doing their own take on it. And it's this melting pot of incredibly interesting things. It's almost like the Never the Twain Shall Meet met. And it's like, oh, you mean we can have a metal riff, but like alternative songwriting? Cool.
Yeah.
And
I think I know we've probably talked this point to death over the past 5 years of us doing this show, but the thing that like you said, the entry level opinion with people not really knowing how it worked. It's not, grunge didn't come in and just kill a sound. Like the popularity of it and the backlash against 80s hard rock, it was directed towards actual bands. Whereas some of those bands already kind of moved away from the party anthem. There were already bands doing more bluesy stuff or whatever. The problem, because a lot of those bands, I know for a fact, heard Jane's Addiction and went, wow, that's really cool. Like they were literally just into this music, but they weren't allowed to evolve because what happened, it wasn't pointed at like, well, we don't want to hear that sound anymore. It was just fuck Poison. Like whatever album Poison would have done, after a certain point was not going to be well received because it was pointed at the bands. And so it's like, but a lot of the times, most of those bands, I don't think would have continued to make that same album over and over again. They would have evolved as well, especially in the environment of these bands proving that you can be unique and you can forge your own path and you can experiment. I think
Yeah.
it would have if everyone had just gone, oh, cool, I like this Nirvana Pearl Jam Soundgarden thing. I also still really like Poison. I wonder what Poison's going to do next. And I think those bands would have naturally, gone in different directions. And some of them probably would have started sounding more like the alternative bands. Some of them may have even gone, the ways of, like the Black Crowes or some shit like that. So it's like, it's frustrating for us because we were fans of not only, certain genres of music and time periods of music, but also just kind of knowing and understanding what was going on. And so it's always kind of aggravating just to hear somebody say, well, grunge killed hair metal. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really basic ass way to put it.
Yeah.
Because it was, and to be fair, like, the way it was presented in the press, sure. It was, that's the way it was presented.
You could even make an argument as to, even though they were kind of, I always find myself in a difficult position when it comes to, talking about like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
At least 4 years prior to Nevermind, were already coming out and everybody was singing their praises because it was like, well, this is a much more gritty,
there was
dangerous version of this. There was already, and then the following year, fucking Cinderella, who had come out with a full-blown glam metal album with Night Songs in 1986. By the time you get to 1988, they're already introducing the
blues, the bluesy stuff.
They're already jumping to there. So I think
it didn't really, it wasn't an overnight thing. And there were several bands that on a smaller scale tipped things in a different direction. But it's true. It can't be understated how massively influential to the music landscape Nirvana were, along with Pearl Jam. I've said that many times that I don't know if Nirvana could have done it alone on that scale. I think Pearl Jam brought a level of accessibility along with it. And so that helped usher that music into the major mainstream.
And also, I would also say Alice in Chains and Soundgarden legitimized that movement for the metalheads.
And Alice in Chains helped the transition too, because they had one of their feet, like in the metal world, they were kind of a metal band. So it's like all of these different things, all of these different elements.
Some of those promo shots from the fucking facelift era could have been for Helix. That's the thing about just it's kind of vulgar. The vinegar stroke of 80s metal right before grunge is that thing of just like, oh, now this is a thing. We have Facelift is a really good example, actually, because you've got, there's a funk metal song on there. There's 80s metal production on it, but it's not thematically 80s metal.
No.
There's a lot of edgier, grittier things. I would argue that there's a through line with at least the metal side of things when it comes to Appetite for Destruction going into Facelift.
Sure.
There's a pocket of bands between those two albums that went, fuck, let's get ahead of the curve. We already know that Appetite for Destruction is already more attractive than Look What the Cat Dragged In, right? I mean, even though Poison was riding high, people were already pointing out, oh shit, these guys have come out with Welcome to the Jungle, right? Mm-hmm. These guys are singing about making out in the back of the old man's Ford. These motherfuckers found a dead porn producer chopped up by the cartel in a dumpster behind the studio, right? That's infinitely more interesting than what is, by metal standards, prom music compared to the gangster life over here.
Yeah.
So there is that thing of between Appetite and Facelift, obviously two different bands. What happens? Bands like Soundgarden come along and it's like, oh, down tuning is cool. So by the time you get to Facelift, well, drop tuning's already discovered. What if we took it lower? Bingo, you get a song like We Die Young, opens the album, right? That's incredibly heavy for the era it came out.
Yeah.
And yet, it still comfortably fits in that era because sonically it's very similar. At the same time, it's also very different. And I think ultimately, that's the cool thing about the early 90s is that there's a whole world there and very few people talk about it past the point of, well, Nirvana killed hair metal overnight. And now we have the world we live in today. And it's, no, there's far more to it than that, but that sells a narrative. And
I mean, it's and then for somebody like me who was a teenager around that time, I was faced with the daunting task of being one of the people that's like, why can't I have both? Like why can't? Because there was so much of a variety of stuff that it all felt like it was all fair game. Because not only if you're talking about, 1990 or around that time, 1991 or whatever, and you Poison put out an album, still a lot of Poison-esque type shit, but a little bit more bluesy. Facelift, you got Facelift that's come down. Fucking Queensryche with Empire. So you add all of this music that all seemed to be unique in its own little ways, and so when it came time for that sort of backlash towards the 80s hard rock in the quote unquote hair metal, that's when I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. Why can't you have both? Like, why is it wrong to be like, Smells Like Teen Spirit is a song that changed my life, but you know what? Every Rose has its thorns, a fucking banger. It's like, it was bizarre to me then, and it's still bizarre to me now that everything has to like, and I had a whole bunch of friends like that too, who would get into music and then the next year be like, we don't listen to any of that music anymore. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Fuck that.
So
I didn't get into music like that's for fucking rules.
So I don't know if that's like the way that normally people react, or if it is the music press that's like, hey, we're trying to sell, these things. Let's push the narrative that all of this shit is uncool now because we're no longer trying to promote that. And at the end of the day, that it's damaging to some artists and some artists' careers. And not only that, it turns people off to what's really good music. It's just not. It's like I always say, like comparing, The Godfather to Encino Man. Like they're not trying to be the same movie.
No,
you could enjoy both movies. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just weird. And it's just, I think it's just the mentality, the clique mentality. I think a lot of people have where, you're part of a group now. And the way to establish yourself as a group is you got to have these rules of like, here's what we look like and sound like and all of that other shit. That's no good anymore. And I've always been like, I don't want to be a part of your clique. I want to I want to like come hang with you guys, but then I'm going to go over there. Because that's how it was in high school. I hung out with the quote unquote, they were called the smokers, which was all like the metal and grungy kids. But I was friends with like the nerds who were in the band, the school band. And I had like friends like all over the place just because I'm like, it's boring just to be around these same fucking types of people doing the same shit all the time. There's a whole tapestry of different individuals and different things that I like about different people, and same thing goes with music where I'm just like, I can't just sit and just listen to death metal for 10 hours straight. I'm going to listen to one or two really amazing death metal albums, and then I'm going to listen to REM or something else like that, or The Cure. I don't know, So.
That was always my kind of mindset, to where it's, everybody had this image of me, in college of, oh, that's the 80s metal guy. It's like, guys,
Mr. 87 right there, folks.
Mr. 87, and like the thing is, I turned around and I said I had my iPod on shuffle on my way in here, and in the 45-minute bus ride, I must have listened to Megadeth, NWA, Willie Nelson, and fucking Morbid Angel. Like there was so many different. There's so many different things I'm into. I'm even my latest obsession musically is I don't even know what you would call it, but it's like Hawaiian music. I'm really into the whole SpongeBob background music vibe, and seriously, yeah, but like all of it, like anything with a lap steel and some ukulele and like maybe some brush work on the drums. It's impossible to be in a bad mood when I'm listening to that. Like, honestly, when I'm driving along and I have like a stress moment, I pull over wherever possible, and then I just find myself just think like all that lap steel stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love that. It just puts me in a fantastic frame of mind of
Interesting.
okay, the world's on fire, but oh man, I wonder what Patrick's up to. Yeah, it's one of those things. I've just become really into that whole like chill Hawaiian vibe. And at the same time, you will find me in the same car journey being like, okay, I've had enough of the chill vibe, time for some hard shit, and I'll put on fucking Obituary, and that's okay. Two things can be true. You're allowed to like more than one thing. Yeah.
If anybody gets anything from our podcast, I would hope that it's just like
open-mindedness.
There are no guilty pleasures. Like, do you like it or do you not like it? Who the fuck cares? Like, just, and also don't worry about what other people are liking. Just fucking do your thing. It's a good way for me to preface that my number 6 is going to probably annoy people. What was your number 6?
My number 6 was Dysfunctional, but honestly, it's a contender to crack the top 5. On any given day, depending on the vibe, it could crack the top 5. So
okay.
I'll say that about Dysfunctional. This is an album I regret not hearing sooner. So over to you. Your number 5.
I think for some
or
types,
number 6, sorry.
Some types of metal fans, this is like the pinnacle of this band. But I very much disagree. My number 6 is Breaking the Chains from 81/83.
That's my number 5, so we can camp out here for a while.
It still made it to number 6, but this album is really dull.
It's a mixed bag for sure.
And it's soft, except for the really loud snare drum occasionally. It is a soft. Might as well be like, adult contemporary, with metal songwriting in it, I guess.
It's barely a metal album.
It's very understated. It almost feels like, even in the songwriting, it almost feels like the only way I could equate it to is like the songs didn't have enough time to cook in the oven, but yet they took them out anyway and then put them on an album. And it's like, God, and then not to mention the fact that the song Young Girls is on here. And that's just, never. It's here's the thing, like you like if you want to talk about cringy songs, like there's 17 by Winger, and but at that point you're like, okay, she's 17. I don't know how old he is when in the confines or in the context of the song, but it's 17. This is just Young Girls. That's creepy as fuck. Like there's no explanation. Like what do you mean? What do you mean? How young are we talking? Should I be enjoying this song or not? Or should I be calling the authorities? It just has a lot of weak songs. And I was so starting from this album, because I had never really listened to this album. Starting with this album, I went, whoa, this is really lame. But the only thing that kept me entertained was that it does sound like an album from the early 80s, and I kind of liked the vibe occasionally. But for the most part, I'm like, wow, this is not a good start. No wonder that they are thinking of dropping this band early on, because they're just like, who wants to hear this? But, it has its moments, but for the most part, it's weak sauce compared to the top 5 that I have here. So yeah, that's my number 6. Oh, you said your number 5 is Breaking the Chains. So I'm going to, push the imaginary ball over to you.
I'm just going to jump off of, and this is me, but by no means blaming all of Saxon for this, but I'm just going to go off of what you mentioned about the song Young Girls.
Yeah.
So this is not me blaming all of Saxon. They, in all likelihood, had no idea. So I don't know about whether or not you know this, but there's a song on the Saxon album, Strong Arm of the Law, called Sixth Form Girls. And in the UK, sixth form is that time between 16 and 18. It's whether or not it's the last 2 years of high school over there.
Yeah. Nothing fucking attractive about that age to me. Like, I'm just like, these fucking dumbass motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. I don't want nothing to do with them.
You want to know something as well? Like, I live in a uni town, Falmouth Uni. I went there, right? As soon as I moved back there, I realized how young I was in uni. Like, I look around and I think, man, these are kids. What the fuck is attracting people to this? Yeah, I mean, I know I'm only 27, but I was thinking that at 25.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Steve Dawson, I may be making some enemies here. So Steve Dawson, I don't know if you know this, the bass player, the original bass player for Saxon.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading through an old Kerrang and it said, like, here are the top worst things to ever happen to heavy metal. Steve Dawson leaves Saxon. The first thing that comes up when you go on his wiki page is Stephen Dobby Dawson is an English bass guitarist, convicted sex offender, and founder of the heavy metal band Saxon.
Oh, shit.
Which is an unfortunate thing because I like Saxon.
I know. Did Saxon do Denim and Leather? Is that one of their songs?
Yep.
So I know exactly 2 Saxon songs, and one of them is a cover of Christopher Cross. That's a good cover, by the way. Ride Like the Wind by Saxon.
Yeah.
That's good.
Actually, a song that is off of that album that I really like is, and you would probably like too, so that album, Destiny, I Can't Wait Anymore, but specifically the 12-inch 45 RPM version.
I didn't know where you were going with that. 12-inch what?
So the album version...
Too big.
So the album version ain't quite there for me. The 12-inch has enough 80s synth for every band at the time.
Nice.
Either way, like I say, coming back around, it's just the whole... I mean, there's a glut of way too young girl 80s rock songs that really taints the scene. Yeah. I really do like... See, here's the thing. One of my favorite Motley Crue album... my favorite Motley Crue album for a long time was Girls, Girls, Girls.
Yeah. Because
it was the first one I owned on vinyl, and it was like... You know when it's kind of your album for a while?
Sure, yeah.
Up until, like, when you're listening to an album, you hear a lyric you've not really honed in on before? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yep, I do.
See, that's the thing. All in the Name Of could have been, like... I mean, musically, it's one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Mm-hmm.
But the opening lyric just fucking ruins it for me, because whenever I feel myself like locking into it, she's only 15. Nope.
Yeah, that's
And for those reasons, I'm out, dude. Come on, man.
yeah.
What the fuck?
So the interesting thing about that, let's just get into this, is that
I really hope it's a context thing.
that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the context is very important. And
Yeah.
you can ruin a song that has no context so you can make up your own. But then somebody will come in and ruin it, like Gene Simmons going to like, I normally don't say things like this to girls your age.
Oh, don't, man.
And that kind of ruins it. But taking yourself back to that time period, I think my story is probably very similar to a lot of people's stories, was that when you're a teenager, sometimes you're dating another teenager who is a few years younger than you, and that's considered illegal. But when you're a teenager, you don't think about it that way. Like,
No.
like when I was 17, I was dating a 15-year-old. Which is 2 years. But when you're a teenager, that 2 years that's not that big of a fucking difference. And so I didn't look at it like, oh, I got a 15-year-old. But if somebody came to me and said, you shouldn't be with her because she's only 15, then I would write a song about it. And I go, yeah, they said she's only 15, but it's from the experience of a 17-year-old, not a 27-year-old or however old Motley Crue were.
Well, how old was Vince Neil by the time?
So that, like I'm saying, that there's a fine line. That's like I always say, context and intent. Like what is the context? What is the intent? But sometimes you just can't look past Gene Simmons or whatever.
See what? One of the funniest like belly laugh moments out of something that I didn't expect to find was if you go on, Genius, like Genius lyrics, right?
Oh yeah,
right. There's sometimes people will add like annotations and stuff. So was it that I can remember you would go on like lyrics meaning or something. So here's something that may clear things up. This is so All in the Name Of is a reference to the Tracy Lords age scandal.
So it's not creepy.
So Tracy Lords had made 19 films while underage after creating a fake birth certificate.
I remember that, yeah.
Nikki Sixx wrote the song to address the Tracy Lords scandal, which involved a young girl. Young girls! Tying it back to Dokken a second. Tracy Lords.
We're still doing Dokken.
Yeah, we're still doing Dokken. Lying and faking her age to enter the pornography industry throughout the 80s. Nikki admits the song is a little weird, considering the fact that he now has a daughter of his own. This song is not an ode to pedophilia as much as it is a boogie-themed apology to the people that were involved in this scandal, which included many stars on the same scene as Motley Crue.
Okay, so there you go, context and intent with that particular song.
However, I also remember a time where on Genius, I think someone must have edited it or something, because it said... And this isn't fair if that context is the case. But like I clicked on the very first line, it says, she's only 15. This illustrates that Vince Neil of Motley Crue fame is a raging pedophile. And that's the only thing that it said for a while. I think I'm not saying that is the case, but I am saying that that's what it said. And I remember at the time thinking it was really funny. I think it may be actually on... Oh, what the fuck? I've just found out that Song Meanings is now behind a fucking ad wall.
Ugh.
Hang on, wait, where is it?
Anyway,
Hold on.
that's a good lesson for everybody to learn out there. This particular song, you have the song isn't actually about them wanting an underage girl. B, Vince Neil didn't even write the song. So if you point at Vince Neil, that's wrong. I mean, Vince Neil's done some shit.
I'm actually going to come out and make a public apology before this even airs. I was going off of the context of the previous thing that I had read a long time ago. Mm-hmm. If that Tracy Lords thing is true, sorry.
I would say,
as someone who loves Motley Crue's music,
also from here on out, let's just shy away from writing songs about that, so they're not taken out of context.
Oh yeah,
Okay?
absolutely,
Full stop.
Absolutely. And just one more thing. Whose fucking idea was it for the Virgin Killer cover for Scorpions?
Okay, look, I'm not a fan of the Scorpions. There's something about their music and their imagery that has always made me feel like they are creepy dudes. Even the songs, a lot of them sound creepy to me. And so that's really kept me from getting into them. Because I'm just like, these guys seem like they're going to diddle you when you fall asleep. And that's not my kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, no, get
At least
that
wake
off
me
my
up and
fucking-
ask me first if it's okay. And then if I say no, then you get on your way.
Man, I've never closed a wiki tab so quickly. Like,
What?
get that off my fucking screen.
Oh, the Virgin Killer?
Yeah, I was just like, you know, go frame of reference just to check that was the case, and I.
And once again, there, you know, I know that there are it's a different time, and things were done shockingly for different reasons, but it's just one of those things where you just like, you know, think it through and just kind of like, why do you want that to be your album cover? That just doesn't make any sense.
Think about the optics of this decision. This is not going to do you any favors. Yeah.
I guess a lot of those guys weren't thinking into the future, because I mean, if they had come to him and said, "Hey, this is an album cover that's going to be talked about in 50 years' time by a couple dudes on the internet. Do you want this to be the album cover?" You know?
Yeah.
At that point, it'd be like, maybe just put lettering. Don't bother putting any image at all.
I was going to say, thankfully, they had the foresight to turn around and release a fucking alternate cover very, very quickly.
Yeah, but isn't it the same cover? Only it's just got like a crack in it or something.
No, it's just the dudes.
Oh, it's just the guys
looking at the camera.
And that doesn't help at all, because it's like, these are the dudes that wanted the naked child on their album cover. Look at them. Look at these guys.
These are the guys stood behind the camera like, oh.
Yeah. It doesn't improve it at all. It should have been a completely different cover and not just an image of them. It's just like, you know, well, we can't have the naked little girl on it. What do you want to put? My crotch? A close up of my crotch? Anyway.
We need to get off this topic, man.
So, top 5. You didn't even talk about breaking the chains very much.
I'm about to talk about breaking the chains. So, interesting story with this one. It was originally recorded and released in 1981, and then rewritten and re-recorded again in 1983. It's a bit of a strange one. It's got some stuff on it I'd consider killer, and other stuff that feels not quite there yet. But it does have that 80s vibe that I dig. Mm-hmm. And it also shows that they were a little ahead of the curve with some of the 80s metal around the corner. This, to me, in terms of music, actually feels more in line with the 80s metal we'd come to know than the likes of the first Motley Crue album. Like,
sure.
If anything, I mean, what's the first one? Too Fast for Love.
Yep.
That one I find has more in common with
It's glam rock
than it does any of the. I mean, fucking hell. You look at the opening track, Breaking the Chains. That song has way more in common with 80s metal than pretty much or what would go on to be known as, than any song on Too Fast for Love. If I could say, maybe Take Me to the Top is the closest thing. Take Me to the Top.
Live Wire is pretty, metal.
Yeah, well, I'm talking more in the context of what would go on to be like the pop metal sound.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Live Wire is still. Live Wire is a surprisingly borderline thrash at points. You could put Live Wire on Kill 'Em All, and I probably wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah.
It's that whole early '80s red, black, and white album cover vibe of we're getting a little edgier, but we're not quite 80s metal zone yet.
Yeah.
It's that transition between the 70s and the 80s where it's like, oh, this new wave of British heavy metal thing is cool. What if we sang about fucking? Yeah. But ultimately, when I look at especially with the 1983 version, Breaking the Chains is kind of a mission statement. It kind of feels a little ahead of nearly everything else on the album in terms of where Dokken would go, pop metal wise. I mean, it makes sense. It's the opening track, but like honestly, barring Breaking the Chains, I find the first half of this album completely forgettable. The real fire, barring Young Girls, is on side 2. Knight Rider, seventh, not to be confused with the TV show featuring David Hasselhoff in a talking car. This Knight doesn't have a K in front of it.
No.
You got Knight Rider, Seven Thunders, Stick to Your Guns, and Paris is Burning. Honestly, if you took Breaking the Chains, Knight Rider, Seven Thunders, Stick to Your Guns, and Paris is Burning, I'd be like, oh man, that is a killer EP.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean when it comes to the half and half quality of this album. Like, as soon as I get through Breaking the Chains on the 83 version specifically, which is, to be honest, the one everybody knows, I'm just like, skip. Okay, we're on Knight Rider now. Funnily enough, that's where, like, co-writes tend to show up. But either way, yeah, like I say, I think this album is it's kind of like a tech demo version of Dokken. It's like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that's happening in between 81 and 83. Here's what we came out with. Oh, this heavy metal thing's taken off. Oh, noted. And then that played a lot into the following album, but we won't be talking about that yet. Unless, of course, it's your 4, which honestly I'd be shocked by.
My 5.
Sorry, 5.
No, it is not. My number 5 is Dysfunctional from 1995.
Nice.
Their 5th album, and everybody that has watched my shit long enough knows that in the 90s when bands started altering their sound, I'm usually all here for it, and I usually very much enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
The thing that I thought was really interesting about this album is that musically speaking, I was like, okay, I like the 90s rock vibe that's going on here. But then I realized that Don Dokken is even more out of his element now than he was in the 80s metal thing. But I think that I don't know if I feel like they did the right thing in leaning into this multi-layered harmony thing, because
Dude, absolutely.
that works very well with this music. And it, it did remind me a lot of King's X, which by 1995, these guys very much knew who King's X were.
Yeah.
Not only that, like I said, George Lynch would eventually start a band with Doug Pinnick years later. But so I like what they were doing, but it may not be trying to be grunge, but it's definitely trying to be some of these other bands. The production's pretty dry, which isn't a deal breaker, but I don't love it. But I believe it is Michael Wagner who did a lot of these mid-90s very dry production albums. Like, I think Michael Wagner worked on the self-titled Alice in Chains album, which let's pause to talk about that. Once again,
Yes.
Alice in Chains have announced a giant $300 box set for the self-titled Alice in Chains album that has fuck all for extra music, no live tracks, nothing. Literally just trinkets and coins and pictures, and I'm so over it now. I'm so fucking over it. Like, nothing extra musically. Zero. Sorry.
I was gonna say they got to be coming around the corner with some sort of like mega music bank Gene Simmons style fucking safe.
I just there is live, like, I don't get what's going on in the Alice in Chains camp, and I would like somebody to explain it to me, because they haven't even reissued like the live album, which I guess maybe they'll eventually get around to it, but there's live recordings of the band, like professionally recorded. I know, I've heard some of them, and anyway, I don't know. It's so bizarre that, and people will buy it. I understand. You know, if I was a rich person, I'd fork over the $300 just to get it because I love Alice in Chains. But there's fucking, like, it's been 4 box sets now in a row with no extra music at all. It doesn't even have to be B-sides, because I know a lot of times there weren't B-sides for certain things. They put out everything they recorded, or the B-sides will be on something else. I don't know. But not even live tracks, nothing. Anyway, it's annoying. Anyway, Michael Wagner, I believe, was an engineer on the self-titled Alice in Chains album, and, like, you know, the Kiss Carnival of Souls album, I believe. It's that similar sound.
Hell
Very
yeah.
dry mid-90s production. Anyway.
Sorry, don't let me stop you mid thingy, but I was going to say, I have a really cool thing, Alice in Chains related. I'm going to get it up right now.
Okay.
You say your thing, but
I'm going to wrap this up. Not all of Dysfunctional works for me. It's more enjoyable at times and less enjoyable at other times. The biggest problem is the same problem I have with a lot of 90s stuff, is it really overstays its welcome. It's way too long. But I always really enjoy these 90s albums where the bands get a little more adventurous. But I will say I appreciate them getting more adventurous with this 90s sound on their following album, which you didn't like that much, and that one will come later. But number 5 for me is Dysfunctional.
Okay, cool. A really cool thing that happened to me was I realized that I could access a lot of like Alice in Chains B-sides that I'd never heard. So if anybody listening to this episode is in the process of getting into Alice in Chains, or is an Alice in Chains fan without hearing this, so I have a fucking, what's it called, playlist up on Spotify called Alice in Chains The Lost Album, and it's basically just if you don't have Spotify, I'm gonna list off the songs right now, and I love Alice in Chains this much that I thought I'd give this a little bit of airtime for fellow Alice in Chains fans. So the track list is as follows, and it's pulled from various releases, but What You're Gonna Do, I Can't Have Your Blues, Social Parasite, Killing Yourself, Lying Season, and Fear the Voices, they are all pulled from the Music Bank compilation. Mm-hmm. What the Hell Have I and A Little Bitter are from music from the original soundtrack of motion picture The Last Action Hero. There it is right there.
Behind me.
Nice. Get Born Again from Nothing Safe, Best of the Box. Died from the Essential Alice in Chains. Mm-hmm. And then capping it off with Queen of the Rodeo, which is, let me extend this, Live at the Marquee, Dallas, Texas, November 1990.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
on that live album, I believe, too.
It is from the live album, but it's also on Music Bank as well, just in case. But yeah, that's 46 minutes and 5 seconds of Alice in Chains.
And like, not only did that early demo Alice in Chains stuff is really fun because you kind of hear the origins of where they started, and it's really great songs. But those two Last Action Hero songs, two of my favorite Alice in Chains songs, especially What the Hell Have I? Amazing song.
I am a strong supporter of sitars in a heavy song, and not as like the lead thing, but as a textural quality. I fucking love when bands do that. Funnily enough, I actually have a sitar metal playlist as well. Hang on, let me look this up because I have it here. Hang on. So this is, as far as my knowledge goes.
Do people that use Spotify, can you follow people on Spotify?
You can.
What's your handle on Spotify?
It's just well, I think I've changed it now. I've changed it to my actual name.
Oh,
so
we're not gonna tell you what Eddie Sparxx is real name. It's Buster Poindexter.
If you can find it, don't tell anybody. That's a Mr. Bungle reference. Anyway, like I say, it's called Alice in Chains: The Lost Album. Don't tell anybody, right? But the Sitars playlist I've come up with, unfortunately, is not on Spotify, but it is a personal playlist that I put together. And it features the following songs.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
This is going to be a long episode. Wherever I May Roam by Metallica kicks it off. Immediately followed by What the Hell Have I? Home by Dream Theater is full of them. Mm-hmm. Cats in the Cradle by Ugly Kid Joe has a sitar in there. Pretty Tied Up by Guns N' Roses. 4 Degrees by Tool. Behind the Sun by Red Hot Chili Peppers, followed by New World by Saigon Kick, My Little Man by Ozzy Osbourne, White Queen, As It Began, and Sailing Ships by Whitesnake. And yeah.
Doesn't sorry, I'm just trying to you'll have to go and double check this for me later. But just like in my head now. Oh, God damn it. Where the fuck is the damn album I'm looking for?
In your head.
I think there's a song on Cocked and Loaded by LA Guns that has a sitar on it.
I have that on vinyl. I will listen to it.
I think it's the second song. Oh, God, I might be wrong. That's just like in my head, and I go, is that from Cocked and Loaded? Anyway, I think it does have a sitar on it.
If anybody can remember, there is a sitar song on Cocked and Loaded by LA Guns.
I think it's just at the beginning, too. I might be wrong. Anyway, all right.
Keeps the vibe going, though.
Number 4.
Okay, my number 4. We have entered the love zone.
My love zone. That's every time.
You know what I need.
Love that song.
Hell yeah. That is an underrated Judas Priest cut as well. I love its sister song as well, Love You to Death. I love that song as well. Yeah. Join
us for the Dokken ranking where we talk about many things not Dokken.
Judas Priest, when Rob is particularly horny, just fucking chef's kiss.
I agree.
Anyway, so my number 4 is Back for the Attack.
Okay.
And my reason is as follows. This is an excellent album. It's fucking awesome. This is what I'm talking about. The only thing that knocks this album down compared to the 3 that come above it is a case of bloat.
It's very long.
It is a long album for the style it is in. To put out a 63-minute glam metal album in 1987, takes some doing, because honestly, that's almost that's 10 minutes off the full runtime of a CD, and this is an LP from 87. I'm not saying there should be a rule book for this kind of metal, but generally speaking, the pacing of their albums up to this point have sat somewhere between 35 to 45 minutes and worked quite nicely. This one clocks in at over an hour, and considering this is the last of their 80s work, it is nice to get a little extra in hindsight, considering they didn't put anything out past this. However, it does make this album a little long towards the end, so this one ended up at 4. Honestly, if you had taken, like, it, on top of that, you got the remastered edition bonus track, which is Back for the Attack, the fucking title track of the album, which bumps it up to 67 minutes. If you took the 4 weakest tracks off of this, you would potentially have the best 10 songs selection of Dokken. But Kiss of Death, that is one of my favorite Dokken songs. Same goes for the Mr. Scary instrumental. That is like a staple, holy shit, what great guitar playing moment. And obviously Dream Warriors is a great song as well. But for me, this album, it just about outstays its welcome by like a minute or two, where it's like, oh man, are we at Dream Warriors yet? Yeah. There's about 3 songs worth you could probably remove from this and it'd be a better album. However, at the end of the day, side A is pretty fucking untouchable. And I always loved Lost Behind the Wall. Lost Behind the Wall is a fun one. I like that. It's got a groove to it. I like that. But yeah, it's a bit bloated for the style it's in. I find that the sweet spot for glam metal albums is, I mean, that what I'm about to say is directly contradicted by my following pick. However, generally speaking, 35 to 45 minutes of music, that's your ideal hair metal album length. So with that, Back for the Attack, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not the best.
Okay. Sweet. My number 4 is Shadow Life from 1997.
Okay.
Their 6th album. Now, here's the thing. It's the last album with George Lynch. It's continuing their sort of 90s style sound. And initially listening to this album, I was ready to rip it apart because song number 1, it is a blatant Tool ripoff.
Dude, thank you for saying it. Like, he's doing Maynard's fucking vocals to a T.
They literally tried to, they wanted to make a song like Eulogy by Tool. To where I'm
singing like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not dead.
It is 100% trying to sound exactly like Tool, which is a weird thing to say for Dokken.
Yeah.
But once I got into the album and I kind of get over the Hey Fellow Kids vibe of a lot of this stuff, this is the most adventurous album that Dokken ever did. They tried so many different things on this album, some pretty successful, some not so much. And the album's really too long, but I just kept going like, okay, and like feeling like I didn't really know where the album was going to go. And there was an enjoyability to it where I was just like, wow, these really are dudes. But you could hear it from your point of view where it sounds like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Whereas I took it as like, I feel like they were just throwing everything they had on the table and they just be like, let's just do these songs. And it makes it kind of enjoyable because it's very just like, how many different places can we go? We're not even worried about the Dokken sound anymore. Who the fuck cares? Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was.
I would say, like, much like what I said about Sleep Token last episode, I respect it more than I like it.
Yeah.
And it falls into that realm of the Hey Fellow Kids vibe for me on this was just too strong for me to
at times it's very strong.
Yeah, for me to get past like it, the whiplash I felt from listening to Dysfunctional, where it was like, oh, okay, The songwriting has adapted to the era it's in.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's left behind. Obviously, in '95, I'm not expecting something to sound like it's from 1988, right? However, for me, Dysfunctional had a confidence to it. I think Shadow Life doesn't have. But
I can understand that. But yeah, for some reason, just the overall album was entertaining because I'm just like, I love hearing bands do different things, and so I had to put it higher up because from somebody like me that I'm literally hearing these albums for the first time, it's like, well, what did I really enjoy? What really stood out to me? So Shadow Life ends up being my number 4. But then at the end of the day, my top 3 are probably most people's top 3 Dokken albums. So it's something to be said for that. So that's it. Shadow Life number 4. Moving on to number 3. I don't even remember.
Well,
I know what one of your top 3 is, but I don't know what the other one is because there's so many albums. I just got lost here. Oh, I know what the other one is. Okay, go ahead.
We've done quite a nice trade-off actually because my number 3 is Up From the Ashes, and this one for me, it came to me at a time where I was like, okay, I've listened to all of the 80s Dokken albums, and it's time for me to dig into the 90s and onward Dokken albums. And it was like, it was almost as if I was one Google search away of, hey, did you know that there's like an extra 80s Dokken album? It was like, it was one of the few times in my life where I was like, a prayer hasn't been answered. I actually got what I just... very often I say on the show, do something different. Mm-hmm. And it is slightly different because there's a different guitar player involved and whatnot. But ultimately, above all else, Up From the Ashes is kind of like, oh, it came at a perfect time because I had just started delving into like the deeper, forgotten hair metal stuff. Where I was like, oh, hang on, there's a project here that I didn't even know about, and now it's simultaneously new but familiar. And it was almost like, to me, is the closest, is one of the few times I felt that sense of, oh, this is a new album, basically.
Yeah.
And it's the closest I felt to being maybe like an 80s metal fan at the time 80s metal was happening. And I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing, so it might as well be a new album. So when I heard Up From the Ashes, it's like, not only is it like my favorite sounding production wise of all the releases, even if it's a completely different band and Dokken maybe Don Dokken is the lead singer, it's like, oh, it kind of worked out a little bit to where I found myself thinking, no one knows this is happening, but for me, it's happening.
Do you know what would be? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just had a wild idea in my head that could never actually be done, but it would be so fascinating to like take somebody that's, I don't know, 18 years old. Let's say an 18-year-old person.
Are you going to Truman Show someone with 80s metal?
No,
that's rad.
Here's what it's going to be. Let's say like, okay, if we had a whole lot of money behind us, we come to them and say, hey, we're going to give you $50 million if you complete this task. For $50 million, here's what we're going to do. We are going to completely control your environment for 2 to 3 years. And the only things that you're going to be able to experience are music from a particular year and movies from a particular year. Nothing else in the world is going to exist. You will not have internet access. You will not be going out into the world. You will be on a steady diet of things from a particular time. And it will include movies, music, actual news clips from the time, not retrospective, but everything is going to be of the time. And you're going to entertainment wise, live this life for let's say 3 years, experience things as they happened. So you're going to have this album's going to feel like, okay, if we're starting in 87, you're getting Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. And then a couple years, like a couple years later, you're going to get first Skid Row album or whatever. And so you're experiencing these things as close as you could possibly be to being back then, because there is no other information or music or movies or media that's coming into your brain. And then after like 3-year period or however many years we do the thing, they are then released back into modern times. And then there'll be like a post interview or even a documentary about what does it feel like now you are all of a sudden now in 2027 or whatever. That just seems like it'd be fascinating. Like,
I would sign up so fast, but the thing is, I already know it all. That's
it has
the
to be
thing.
somebody young that doesn't know any of this stuff. But
Yeah.
you're going to then like, you can study like what happened to their personality. What, not only that, like, like how does who they became in the past 3 years react to all of a sudden technology and modern things. And not only that, modern opinions about older things. Like, it's just that would be a fascinating like study. You'd have to have a lot of money to throw at somebody to be like, look, we're essentially locking you in a room for 3 years.
You know what? If someone turned around to me and said, I am going to make you live in 1992 for a year, I would do it.
That's basically my life anyway.
That's the thing. But like,
I turn everything off, and I'm just like, come on, take me away, Alice in Chains and Pantera and all that shit happening.
if I could sign on for some sort of program to live for a year straight to the second in 1992, I would do it.
Yeah.
And literally, like, world event, like, my hand gesture is like a clock turning.
Yeah.
Second by second accuracy to,
Yeah.
like, news coming in.
So that would be part of the thing. It would literally be
Yeah.
like you would be living the time. So you would get a news program fed to you talking
Yeah.
about, I don't know, the Berlin Wall's coming down or whatever,
100%. If someone somewhere is able to put together some sort of like major funded social experiment where I am living in 1992 for a year straight, I will do it.
That just gave me a really good idea that I'm going to go talk to my wife about when this episode's over. Cause when my dad passed away, he had pretty severe dementia. And I'm just like, oh, you know what? I want to ask my family. I go, hey, when I get to the point where if I have dementia, please just start playing me my favorite albums all the time.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to go out, it'd be cool to go out like getting like experiencing things I love again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, cause like it's a bad situation for everybody when somebody goes out that way. But I'm just like, oh, do that. Just literally like, if I have to go into like, elder care, just let them know he just wants a stereo and a TV and you to just be playing these particular things for him as he goes out. Because imagine if it's just like, sure, maybe let's say it lasts, a year or two for me, but I get to constantly hear Smells Like Teen Spirit again for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And then I'll die happy. I won't remember anybody else and be like, who are these people? That's your family. Fuck off. Kurt Cobain's here.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not in any way bringing the vibe down. As someone,
I just did, I think.
No. Seriously. Having witnessed someone go out a similar way, there is a part of me that thinks to myself, just surround me with shit I like.
Yeah.
And at least allow me to go out that way. That
Yeah.
at least puts a spin on a very sad thing that would
Yeah.
at least bring the person going through it some comfort, genuinely.
Yeah, because at that point, it's not about you anymore. It's about the person who's on their
Yeah.
way out. Like
Yeah.
they're really going through this shit.
This, anyone, all of this ends one way, and that's I'm not here anymore.
Yeah.
Just
The funny thing is, even if I don't pass away with dementia, that's what I'm going to be doing anyway. I'm going to be, if I make it to my 80s, I'm still going to be like, let's listen to Angel Dust again. You know?
you know what I would do? I would invent a wood machine, and that basically all it has is two buttons, and it's "Forget Wood" by Alice in Chains. "Hear Wood" by Alice in Chains. And you just hear the song on a loop for however many times you want. That would be so good.
Yeah.
I'd also make a hold the line machine. That would be so fun
Yeah.
to just be like, hey, this song that's like influenced you completely.
I mean, for you,
delete the save file.
Shouldn't it be
Sorry.
forget everything about you? Shouldn't that be what the button is? Like you get to hear everything about you new every time?
That's one of them. But if I remembered Wayne's World, there'd be this awkward silence in that one scene where it's just like,
Oh, yeah.
and it's just like there's no music in the background to give like any atmosphere or lighthearted notion to anything. It's just like, oh, Phil's gonna spew. Oh,
Where
man.
were we? Did you
We
do your
were
number three? What was your number three? Oh, yeah. The Don Dokken solo album.
Yeah, up from the ashes. It's my favorite sounding. Honestly, it may be the best produced Dokken album in terms of like sonics and stuff. I really like it, and ultimately, pardon me, it's this like forgotten gem of hair metal, where it's like, oh, you thought there were only 4 Dokken albums? Here's the secret number 5 that you need a cheat code to get, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my perspective on that little chestnut. So,
Sweet.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to move fast because we need to wrap this up because I know some people like long episodes, but if you're still here, you rule. Peanut butter platypus, etc. My number
Is
3.
this? Oops, sorry.
What?
You say your thing first, and then
My number 3 is Back for the Attack from 1987,
nice.
which is to me kind of a step down in production and songwriting from the 2 albums that come before this album. And even in 1987, once I got to this point, because 4 albums in, I'm starting to hear that there's a definite formula to a lot of their songwriting. And Back for the Attack, because of the amount of songs, some of it starts to become very apparent of like, oh, there's a like
Bag of tricks.
They'll come out, especially when it comes to like, here's the song title. We're going to sing the song title right at the beginning
Yeah.
of the chorus.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that. That being said, though, Dream Warriors is great. I fucking love Burning Like a Flame. Such a really feel good 80s hard rock song. It's one of those songs that just feels good. And
Have you seen the video for that?
I have seen the video for that. Yeah.
It's really fun, isn't it? They're
Yeah.
all firefighters. It's great.
And then of course you got like Mr. Scary, which is fucking awesome, which is more proof that you don't even need Don Dokken in these fucking songs. But there's really great songs on here. There's some songs that I don't love as much, but like my biggest gripe is what yours was as well. It's way too long for this kind of album. Yeah, and the original vinyl is fucking 1 disc. It's not like they put it on 2. They shoved all that shit in.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a great album. I like the 2, my number 1 and 2 more. So Back for the Attack is my number 3.
Cool.
We have a joint top 2. Let's find out if we hit the same numbers here or whatever.
Okay. This is one of those moments where I find myself thinking we've 100% matched up. And then there's another part of me that's like, have we though?
It's possible.
And
There's a 50-50 chance.
we've already matched up once.
Yeah.
So there is potential, and this episode's been a long time coming. So,
And a long episode.
I was gonna say this is gonna rival, if not exceed, the San Andreas episode. That's
Possibly.
that's crazy.
Well, I am going to cut out a pee break in the middle of it, so that's a few minutes chunk to taken out.
Yeah, but that's like 2 minutes out of like 3 hours.
Yeah. And Melvin's like, hurry the fuck up, dude. It's time for dinner.
Okay, my number 2 is Under Lock and Key.
We did not match up, sir.
We didn't match up. And that's okay. That's the beautiful thing that is ranking stuff.
It's going to be okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so my number 2, Under Lock and Key, is probably the most well-rounded of all the Dokken albums. It ticks every box. You've got sleazy riffs, fast songs, poppy hooks, a couple ballads, one being completely saccharine and the other being a little edgier. Mm-hmm. But this tends to be the era I think of when I picture Dokken in my head when they come up in conversation, where it's very much a case of, yeah, this is pop metal a la 1985, right? And it's like pre the thrash explosion. Even the thrash bands are still figuring that out. This is the peak of first wave hair metal. Both in image and sound. That there are, what do we got here? We got, let me look at that track listing. Let me get a look at that track listing. Unchain the Night is a great opener. Love that song. Hunter, In My Dreams, that's a 1-2-3 punch right there. Slipping Away is a 4th track ballad where it's like, oh, yeah, we're definitely in the ballad zone. But then you get Lightning Strikes Again. That's a borderline speed metal song. Kicking off side 2, you get It's Not Love. Then you get Jaded Heart. Don't Lie to Me is a banger. That song is great. Will the Sun Rise is a really like atmospheric nuclear war, Cold War era fucking banger. And then you get Till the Living End. And both of the songs that close both sides are in the speed metal vein. Mm-hmm. And this track listing is emblematic of a sound before it's commercialized. Like they're figuring out what works. Mm-hmm. There's like kind of this 83, 84, 85 thing of let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. Okay, each thing is garnering more and more buzz and sales when it comes to the whole 80s metal thing, but by 86, both sides of the coin have figured it out. You got the second wave of glam bands kicking off. You got your Poisons, your Cinderellas, all that stuff. Your Guns N' Roses just around the corner. Obviously, 86 is a year of thrash albums that changed the fucking game. Rain in Blood, Master of Puppets, Peace Sells, all that stuff. I think, all in all, like this is an album right before an era takes another leap, and Under Lock and Key is one of those albums that is kind of a showcase of that. It's like this is the peak of this thing, where it's at. We have our band's logo in the top left corner with an outline of the logo as this fiery door, while we're all wearing far too much hairspray to be around fire anyway. So we've got this like yellow fog at our feet, and we're all in different color Miami Vice style suits.
It's a very pleasing album cover, I have to say.
Dude, when it comes to album covers, like, I kind of want to do a similar thing with the next Grave Circuit album, where we're on like either side of the logo, and there's just fog everywhere.
If anybody knows how to make those kind of effects happen, then sure.
Yeah.
It ain't me.
Just make everything below the knee disappear into a cloud and make our logo a door, and bada boom, bada bing, put that logo in the top left corner. And we're both wearing different color pastel suits.
Which I would have to get a pastel suit. I don't even know where to go for that.
Sorry, I've got two. I'll mail one to you.
I don't have access to what's the store from GTA? Complete the look.
Complete the look. Yeah, yeah,
the look.
yeah. Wow, you look like a Satanist. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, I love this album, but there's an edge to another album that grants it a little bit of bonus points in terms of a whole package. So you go ahead and tell me your number two.
Yeah, my number two is Tooth and Nail from 1984.
Cool. My number one.
I knew some songs from this prior, but I don't think I had ever heard the full album before now. But I mean, not that I can remember anyway. And I thought that this is probably going to be my number one, because it's a giant improvement over the first album.
100%. Yeah.
And the energy, the overall sound, the songwriting, it's a very cool album. But it's one of those albums that everything was coming together, but very quickly it was just very apparent to me that like George Lynch is the star of the show, and without him, I don't know if this band would have gone much further. If it was just Don Dokken and some other guitar player who was just capable, I don't know if they would have had even the half of the amount of success that they did. Because like hearing it, I go, the coolest part is a lot of the riffs that the songs are kind of built off of. The actual verses and choruses, sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're cool, but most of the time I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's fine for the song, fine. But I love the energy of this album. It was very, it's a 1984 hard rock album, so it's like it sounds cool, and I really enjoyed it. And honestly, yeah, I thought that this would be my number one, but it turns out that there's a specific thing about my number one that nudged it on top. But I'd say they're pretty close. But my number two is Tooth and Nail, and your number one is Tooth and Nail.
My number one is Tooth and Nail, and I have a lot to say here in terms of this album as a whole package. But much like Metallica, Dokken's second album has a blue album cover and was released in 1984. Already a good sign.
Yeah.
Next up, the music. It violently switches between like borderline thrashy speed metal cuts, hooky pop metal they'd go on to be known for, and a ballad that, I mean, this album has a little bit of everything about why I love 80s metal so much. The production...
and it's got Swamp Thing on the cover, apparently, or whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, some sort of reptile claw busting through the water with some flames attached to a 3D, apparently stainless steel 3D Dokken.
Another very
logo.
cool album cover, in my opinion.
Yeah, like honestly, when it comes to album covers, this takes it from, I mean, for me, when I think of album covers, I either think of Tooth and Nail or Under Lock and Key, because like Under Lock and Key it at least gives you more than just an album photo or like a band. Like, oh, look at us, we're sat on a rock in a forest, look at us.
Yeah.
You know, but it's got some fog, it's got cool outfits, it's got the logo at least twice.
Yeah.
Somehow. But Tooth and Nail, to me, it in every way just draws me in every time. I find with this album, there's so many songs that just jump out. And, I mean, Without Warning, the instrumental already gives me chills before the album starts. and then Tooth and Nail begins. And for a band that's known for being a glam metal band, this is speed metal opening through and through. One of the greatest guitar solos George Lynch ever laid down. Just Got Lucky. Have you ever seen the video for Just Got Lucky?
I don't think so, no.
So it fluctuates between scenes of them in like a mirrored room where like there's loads of them going for like fucking ever, to George Lynch shredding on top of an active volcano. And genuinely, like seriously, I watched that video, and apparently one of the anecdotes from the people there, like there was an eruption as soon as the helicopter airlifted him off. And
Wow.
that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. I'd be terrified with that much hairspray on to even go near the vicinity of a volcano, let alone on top of an active one that's spitting out steam and fucking magma. Lava as it enters the atmosphere, I guess. Either way, my favorite song off of this album is a toss-up between Don't Close Your Eyes and Into the Fire. I love those two songs so much. And people always talk about Just Got Lucky and Alone Again and Tooth and Nail, but I love those moments on the album where, like, Don't Close Your Eyes closes out side A. That riff is mean, dude. For like a glam album.
We're gonna get copyright right there.
Ah, shit. Fuck, we got this late in the episode and we got claimed. Shit! Also, ultimately, this album's fucking awesome, and I love it. And it is one that I have yet to acquire on vinyl, and still need to.
Yeah. I don't have any of these on vinyl, including my number one, which is Under Lock and Key from 1985. So I'm pretty sure I had heard this whole album before. A lot of it was very familiar, but something about them moving into this sort of bigger, more polished sound really kind of, I feel, worked really well with the combination of things that they were working with. Being George Lynch and Don Dokken, the big features of the band. I just think that the bigger songs and the catchier style songwriting, some people may have thought it was a bit of a step down from the first couple albums, but it really, like, I think you kind of nailed it when you're like, it really sounds like peak 80s hard rock before it had it just gotten taken over by a shitload of bands doing similar things.
Yeah.
So it kind of has those elements that make it may not have been as enjoyable to me if I was a fan in 1985, but now listening to the songs and the production's values and the songwriting and not to mention George Lynch's guitar playing, it just like feels like the most sort of well sculpted version of what this band was capable of. And yeah, so I just as I was listening to it, I'm like, yeah, this is just, I feel like they nailed what they were doing here, and the most successful version of the Dokken sound. And so I ended up putting it at number one because I was just like, wow, I thoroughly enjoyed everything about this, and hindsight helps, I guess, because it's like, this kind of music and this kind of sound doesn't exist anymore. And when people try to do it, most of the time they don't do it very well. Wanted is a very good example of a band.
I was about to say Wanted are the notable exception when it comes to the authenticity when it comes to the 80s metal production. Holy shit.
And so, but this is just, this is from the source, from the time, from the, from the era. And so it was the most enjoyable out of an entire discography where, like, I really didn't enjoy so much of what was put out under the name Dokken. But this particular one, I was just like, I could see like being a massive fan of this band if you come into it on this album or even on Tooth and Nail. But yeah, so Under Lock and Key, my number one, because it ticked all the boxes for me. We did it.
We did do it.
So that's Dokken. That's the Dokken ranking, and among plenty of other tangents for you. And I love how like sometimes we are just all business. Like I feel like that our Mastodon episode was very we were just down to business, and then that was it. But then we have these episodes like this one, and even the Sleep Token one, where we really just sort of the vibe of the episode just sort of steers us off. And those of you, the peanut butter platypuses, aluminium squirrels, Belvedere ball sitters, and Christmas dogs, you guys are the best because you stick here through it with us. Yeah, that. And then I hear from some of you all the time that even if it's a band you don't really like, you still watch it because we're entertaining, and I love that. Because
we love that.
Because our opinions, who the fuck cares about our opinions on shit? At the end of the day, it's like, is this enjoyable to you at all? So thank you very much for watching and for listening. You're all amazing. And any parting words? We should wrap it up. We're lengthy.
I've enjoyed rocking with Dokken.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks very much for being here, for watching, for listening. You're amazing. And now, as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. 87 himself to take us out.
Later, dude. Again. Later, dude, again. Later. Later, dude, again. Later. Later, dude, again. Later!